Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special edition of the Whiskey Media Happy Hour. We're starting a half hour-ish early. I'm Ryan Davis, and I'm joined here today. Part of the special occasion, we have the folks from Supergiant Games. We've got Greg, Amir, Jen, and Gavin. Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've seen. It's been since basically PAX since we've seen you all.
Yeah, that's right.
To celebrate you guys coming in and checking in with us and on the development of Bastion. This week's episode of the Whiskey Media Happy Hour is free for everyone. Usually this is a members-only event, but we wanted to open it up to let folks who haven't signed up yet see what they're missing on the weekly basis, and we're going to have you guys back regularly to continue showing us how the independent development of Bastion has gone for you guys. Now, one of the things that we did early on when we started talking to you about the development of your game, we gave you guys a little handheld camera, just a little camcorder, and said, record the process. show us what happens when you get 5 people together and try and make a game on a pretty tight budget and a pretty tight timeline with a lot of passion and a lot of creative vision, let's say. So you guys took that for a couple months, and you got it back to us, and now we have here our first segment of Building the Bastion. This is PAX, basically. This is the first time that you guys got to show off Bastion to the general public. Shortly after we first saw Bastion, so kind of you're getting your rolling first impressions out of that. So without further ado, we're going to talk to you guys. I realize that I have completely dominated this conversation so far. But I want to get us to this video because it's a lot of fun. So this is because you guys haven't even seen this yet. You lived it.
We've never seen it. No.
You were there for it, and you shot it, but you haven't seen what we've done with it. So let's roll to that. Here it is, part 1 of Building the Bastion.
Hey, what's up? My name is Greg Kasavin, and in about an hour and 20 minutes, I will start my first day as creative director of Supergiant Games, because it is about 10:45 p.m. right now on Wednesday, September 1st, and today was my last day of my previous job, and tomorrow, 7 o'clock in the morning, I get into a van with 4 other people and 4 other great colleagues of mine, soon to be great colleagues, and we will drive for 14 hours to Seattle to go to PAX to show our game Bastion for the very first time. All I have to do between now and then is pack and prepare a presentation that I have to give. So why am I talking to you now? Because I work in the game industry and we like to procrastinate. We are just picking up our last passenger and loading up this thing. This is all the stuff that we need. Sleeping bags, demo station, scumbag cookies. That's Jen.
Hello.
It's Gavin and Amir. And somewhere is Darren. There's Darren.
Yeah, that's me.
And then that's me. We're only running like 2 hours behind schedule, but it's on the plus side, it's a 14-hour drive.
We make up a lot of time.
Yeah, we'll make up a lot of
Speed
time.
a little bit, we'll make up several hours. We are beginning our journey now. Gavin,
Seatbelts on.
let's say something about our journey. It's very long. So we're talking about how to talk about our game. So the thing that's in the document you wrote was like, which I think is good, is that everyone describes it in their own way, but they try and keep the same 3 or 4 elements as part of it.
Yeah, they are
Good
yeah,
so far, so
yeah.
good.
Perfect. Of course.
Combat, we're saying finesse, saying the words finesse or nimble or something like that.
You know, there should be a lot of variety in how you can sort of build out your character, and then even the kind of tactics you could use, because we have stuff like enemies that can inadvertently crash into each other and hurt each other, and maybe like aggro each other or something.
So what the sentence we had there was like a lush hand painted world that sort of shows the
Full HD.
Yeah, full HD thing that was supposed to show like it's like the beautiful side of Apocalypse, right? It's like the beauty and isolation of a post calamity world.
I mean,
we don't have to say that term, but that was like that's a way to connect the art to the setting.
They have a live-action Space Cruiser Yamato movie coming out. Anyone?
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, fuck you. Dune. Dune is interesting. It's just like dropping like deep-sounding like non sequiturs like one after another. It's just the spice is the worm. The worm is the spice.
Okay.
So what are we roll? All right.
Oh shit.
That's all right.
I'm not
Five.
too good at the rolling.
It's okay. Try it again.
We're just gonna keep rolling until we get a 20.
It's better.
It's yeah.
Rising.
10.
See?
Going up. All right.
20. Let's go.
20. 20. Two.
All right.
2. I got
Okay.
2. Right.
Well, shall we go?
Alright.
Yeah, let's go.
Like we were talking about earlier, we need to figure out what the loop is, and the core of that is like how to handle player failure.
Okay.
That's not just like stand back up, like in.
Oh no, we already had some stuff on this.
Okay, well maybe this is more for Darren and Jen.
Is the idea different than the one we've talked about in the past?
Depending on when are you talking about?
Because we've had like many different
Yeah.
discussions. It's only slightly different in that instead of so that it would still happen,
Yeah.
but basically it would be your classic like lives continue system before that, where a life would allow you to just stand back up like you can do now, and when you ran out of lives, then you would be sent back to the town. And the thing that gains us is that it's really shitty when you're just like playing and all of a sudden you're just like
Have to start over.
you're just destroyed instantly. The Zelda Fairy was a definite influence, at least for me.
Yeah.
Part of it's also just like it's a really good, comforting feeling to like know you have that fairy in your back pocket.
Yeah.
When like if you just screw up for one moment, you're not done for and like going back to the beginning of the dungeon.
Even Ninja Gaiden has stuff like that. The interesting thing is like those things like that can serve as a pretty good money sink if they're not like automatically replenished.
Right.
As like
A choice.
The only
both as,
problem.
like quest, they could be rewards in the world or
Yeah, they could. Yeah, we can do them as rewards. The only problem with them sharing the same money resource is that like people who suck at the game will be able to upgrade less.
spiraling.
Yeah,
And
I
with
think
Dead
we should
Space-
have like shit spirals though.
So as we're driving along, we're starting to see some of this coverage bubble up, and I just had something here. I'm already in love with the game's art style and tone, and I'm hoping the gameplay will match up. I love seeing when people say I'm already in love with the tone. That's like, ugh. No, we're not on CNN, but it looks like. So in our ongoing announcement coverage, it looks like we got picked up by Joystick. Considering Supergiant's pedigree, ex-EALA Command & Conquer devs, and how beautifully detailed this initial media is, we have high hopes for Bastion. That's good. That's good. We're in Portland right now. Sort of the last leg of our journey, and apparently they got word of our arrival. Either that or these fireworks are for some other reason. Bastion's real close. How far is Seattle from the state border?
Probably about 3 hours.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's almost 10 o'clock. We're in Seattle, but we still have a little ways to go.
We're in Washington.
From Washington.
Oh yes, the guys at Giantbomb have posted some first video of what we're going to be showing at PAX, which is cool to actually show more of the game. And some of the comments include, "Cool, this game looks really, really interesting. I'm a bit worried about feeling rushed. and the sections where it falls away behind you, maybe it's only based on your own movement, but it looks fun. Also, the narrator's voice just reminded me of Ryan's ska funk band. The next guy says, "Damn it," and that's it. Hopefully the guy saying "damn it" is saying that because
Out of excitement.
he's speechless in all.
He doesn't want to use the money, but he has to.
Now we're crossing Lake Washington.
Going to PAX.
Going to
Good
PAX.
night.
Starts
Not
in
right
2
here.
hours.
Let's leave.
Dude, I like Big Buck Hunter.
Now so entertaining.
This smells, so this is bad.
So basically, what happened is we discovered that some
cooler?
yeah, that's for the cooler. So something smelled terrible in the van, and we decided that we had to discover what it was before we could drive.
Slightly worse every day. Like the first time,
Yes.
you thought like the
smells
pre.
terrible.
Yeah, it'll like not smell eventually.
Know about that.
So basically, it turns out there's a bunch of rotten vegetables in our ice chest,
And now my hands smell.
and now his hands smell like that.
Here we are. We're all set up. It's day one, beginning of the day one of the show, and we've got our postcards. We've got 2 stations of the game. We're gonna see what happens here. People will hopefully start playing the game very soon. We'll see what they think. It's crazy and nerve-wracking and exciting, I think. But everyone seems to be in really good spirits, and we're just anxious to get this thing going. So, see how it goes.
These are people who came back to play our game. Great. What are your names? Chris? Terry from Virginia, coming out for the first time out here just for this.
Hey guys, welcome back to my third and final day.
So this is our booth. This is what our booth looks like when no one plays it. And thankfully, this is not what it looked like most of the show.
We'll throw down an arc of
Our game, playing the attract loop, trying to draw people to it, trying very hard. Our machines only overheated 3 times and only crashed while the guy who made Limbo played it once. But otherwise, pretty good numbers overall. And this is what it looks like underneath.
I guess I will sit for a second.
The disgusting guts, overheating computers, Subway sandwiches, cords, subwoofers. Anyway, it was a really fun PAX. And everything looks totally empty once everyone clears out, and it gets kind of sad looking.
This is what happens at PAX. This is the life of an indie game developer.
So there it is, part 1 of building the Bastion. So how does that compare to your recollections of going to PAX?
Oh man, what recollections we have remaining is all kind of a blur. I mean,
Yeah.
especially it's less than a month and a half ago or something, or closer to 2. But yeah, it feels like an eternity ago already.
Really, really long time ago. I had no idea that they shot that last thing of me just sleeping.
Yes.
That was the first time I ever saw that. So I have no memory of that at all.
So I have three questions here. One, what was up with the 20-sider? Not really explained what was going on there.
I play a lot of D&D,
Uh-huh.
and we put a lot of stake in die rolls. So whenever something would come up like, hey, this next leg of the trip is going to be like this, or our PAX is going to go this way, and then we just roll the 20
Roll the
sided
saving
Okay,
die.
so not necessarily like decision making, but kind of like
No,
omens.
Right.
we should go to like a
Saving throws.
20-sided
Yeah.
die decision-making process at some point.
Yeah, just in the government, in society.
But yeah.
Second, the cookies, the scumbag cookies. What's the story behind those?
My girlfriend went to culinary school, and she's like an amazing Baker. And so she basically put together these cookies of the scumbag enemy in our game, and we just gave them to people who played our game.
Awesome.
And the cookies were a big hit.
Third part, actually not a question, but to give you some illumination, part where, Greg, you were reading through the comments after we did our first reveal of Bastion on Giantbomb, and you saw the first comment was super thoughtful and very positive and excited, and then the second one was, damn it. And you were trying to read into that. I believe if I can explain that to you, we have a quest system on Giantbomb, and one of the quests involved is getting the first post comment on a story. So a damn it at number 2 probably just means he just missed getting his.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Getting his firsties. So.
At least the first guy didn't say first.
Well, that's good that he didn't. So we've seen some of Bastion before, and how has the process been for you guys between then and now? Can you fill in some blanks on what you've been up to?
Yeah, I mean, we got back to work and been making more game pretty much. We've got some new stuff to show later on, but we just finished a pretty big internal milestone where we added just a whole bunch more content. So we're in the thick of production right now. It's just like make game for the for the months between now and next summer. So it's been pretty intense.
I think I asked you this at PAX, but I wanted to see now that a little bit of time has passed. Was there any specific feedback that you got from players at PAX that you guys came back and said immediately this needs to be implemented?
Yeah.
Gavin, you have the microphone.
Yeah, mostly user interface type stuff. We're trying to explain people how to use the various screens we have to equip their weapons and their different upgrades. And we spent we were up till 3 a.m. the several nights before that, making last-minute changes to the thing, hoping it would work out. We got to PAX, immediately saw hundreds of people react to it, and got home, and first thing we did was change everything we did. So
Jen, you seem like you have something specifically to say about this.
go ahead, throw us all under the bus.
I don't know if I should say it. I just want to
Too
throw
late.
it all
It's already.
under
You
the
can't.
Okay,
You can't say. I don't know if I should say this.
I wasn't there when they made a terrible UI decision, and I was there the first day of PAX playing it, and I was like, what? I don't understand. So now they all owe me $5.
And so we unfucked the game. That's what we did. when we
Very
got
good.
back. Yeah. So
But yeah, it was all pretty low level usability stuff, because it's overall. I mean, we went in thinking if we're open to changing pretty much whatever, because we're making the game for. I think I may have talked about this last time, but it's if people really didn't like certain aspects of the game, we're open to changing them. So it was nice that the issues that people had were just we just tweaked this
usability
one
stuff.
screen. Yeah, it's they really the big stuff that we were going for, people responded to really well. So that was really great.
Excellent. Now you guys, Supergiant has been working on Bastion for a while now, and it definitely seems like we've seen this time and again where a game will be in development for a long time, but the developer just won't quite be ready to show it off yet. You got to kind of get it to a certain place where you're comfortable with what it is, of okay, this is close enough to what our vision is for the final product that we're willing to put this out there and let people see it, because there's a lot to be said for that first impression of that's what people remember of a game, and making a strong first impression is clearly important. Now we've had our first impression, and we're going to see some new stuff as well. But you guys have been brave enough to bring with you a very, very early proof of concept version of Bastion, and we're going to play some of that right now. Amir, do you want to set up some specific things about this?
Just that we had been working on the game, just me and Gavin, for 5 weeks. Before we had.
Okay, so this is literally 5 weeks of development.
This is from it's from October of last year, right?
Yeah,
so
and we started in September.
Okay.
And we didn't have Jen, our artist, but we had the monstrous manual.
So the AD&D monster manual.
Yeah, which served us well. And
is key.
Yeah,
to what you're about to see here.
Yeah.
Should we jump in?
Yeah, let's get into it. So if you've seen Bastion before, and you'll see it again, what it currently looks like in a second.
So
you'll see the differences, but then you'll also see kind of Here, that that spin attack.
Yeah, that is in the game as it exists now. So what you're looking at here is art done by myself. You can see some of the things that you'll see in Bastion now, like the world coming together as you move. In isometric games, you never see the sky, like if you play like a Diablo or something like that.
Right.
And so we really wanted to like get the sky in there somehow. So our idea was, oh, how about we lift the world up? So that's why you see the sky back there, and you'll notice all the enemies are taken from D&D books.
Yep, there's a beholder.
Yeah, we got the beholder, the cloaker.
Yep.
We got the shadow. We got some gargoyles.
Yeah, and
So Wizards of the Coast, give us a call.
Yeah, so, and we got some Zelda rupees in there. This is just basically like an odyssey of stolen art, like just a big catastrophe of copyright infringement.
But this is really cool because, like, it's like you said, you didn't have Jen on, you didn't have an artist on, so you didn't necessarily have like a visual vision for how this was going to look. But I think this is a key thing for folks to see because outside of development, like I was saying earlier, you wait until you have something that looks like what you want people to think of when they think of the final game.
Yes.
But you still have to go through these early, crude processes.
Yeah, and so like Bastion was a game that never had like a big design document. We just knew what we wanted to make and set out and just started making it, which is why we just put everything together in game. There's the Cyclops throwing stalagmites at you.
Is there something crazy going on with the pupils on the beholders when you shoot them?
Yeah.
Yes,
the
that
eyes-
is actually my art that you're seeing. If by something crazy you mean my genius. It's just the hit reaction is that their eyes get big and they get kind of fuzzy.
and the idea is like it is.
It looks like you're shooting them with drugs. Is this like a? Do you also take some like narc influence here? Or?
Yeah.
Right.
So you can see some of even like the combat ideas of like we wanted the combat to be like fast-paced and nimble.
Yeah.
And that's why a character like even from week 5 has a role and he's got like really responsive ranged and melee weapons.
Yeah, because we came off of making real-time strategy games and stuff like that, and these guys are just set out to make an action role-playing game, and it's like you gotta figure out how the combat is going to feel. It's just it came out of your initial exploration around the combat system and direct control over a character, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yep. No, absolutely. And
There's our the early version of the Breaker's Bow. It's got the concept of like if you pull the trigger at just the right time, it's a more powerful attack.
it actually has the same charge sound. That's like
Yeah.
an asset.
The sound effects, yeah,
that
Darren's
actually-
sound effects are some of these are still in the game.
You notice,
So,
like-
so Jen, is this? Did you see this when you first came on? Is this what you first saw of the
This
game?
is not what I saw when I first came on.
Where's our?
Sorry. Did you want
No.
I'm trying to find the next guy to kill.
I'm still amazingly impressed. Because,
There we go. Oh, of course.
to
yeah.
think that my art is replacing D&D like monstrous manual art is like kind of terrible, actually. I feel like I'm doing the world a disservice.
we couldn't release the game with all the D&D art in it anyway.
Are y'all prepared to field some questions from the
Yeah,
chat?
absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, this cannot sustain much more screen time here.
All right.
And we can show you how
it's
evolved.
Internet Steve, give us some questions about this early version of Bastion.
Well, they also want to talk a little bit about them too. So Hiver asks, does Supergiant Games crew have any tips that they're willing to share to give for a starting development?
Any
developer?
tips for a fresh developer? I'd say you guys definitely have some industry experience, but pretty fresh yourselves.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I guess the biggest tip is that you can just like start and do it because that's what this is. We just like started making a game. We could have done this sort of even on the side or something before without quitting our jobs.
Right.
The thing is, when you get something like this that actually like works and looks like a game, it's a lot easier to convince people to stow away with you on your merry indie ship and try and make something better out of it. So I guess the big piece of advice there, I guess for me, is to do the work because that's the first step.
No, it's definitely. I think it's and why I'm excited to show this part off again is to prove that you don't need to have great art. You don't need to have. All you need is your basic vision and to work with that. Beg, steal, and borrow whatever parts it is that you can to get up to a running point, and then.
Yeah.
And honestly, you don't even need a vision. You just need like the beginning of any kind of idea. You just need a sense of like what is the kind of game you want to make at all, right? It's like there wasn't a lot of the things that are in Bastion right now like existed in no way, shape, or form at this point. This was just the early exploration around the genre, and the style of play, right? So.
All right, Greg. Let's. I think we have seen what we can see of
Yes.
this early version. Let's
Yes.
quit out of that.
Thank you.
I'll let you set that up,
Merciful.
and we'll get
Yep.
some more questions from the chat
Yeah.
for Supergiant Games. Internet Steve.
Yep. Fry the Fly asks, what came first, story or gameplay, or both at the same time?
Story, gameplay, or both?
They were so. I'd say the gameplay always has come first for us, but we were developing the story from the start. From the start of the game, imagining what kind of world it would be where everything was lifted up and a giant calamity had torn it apart. But the story development took a long time and didn't really kick in really till Greg was a big part of what we were doing. So the gameplay kind of came first, which is why we have prototypes that have the stuff you saw.
So Greg, when you came in and you saw what the vision was that already existed, where like was what you ended up with like the first impulse, or how long did it take you to kind of work up to the actual concept that you have now?
So there was like the early idea around when we all left EA in August of last year, and then like it sort of naturally evolved from there. In like following up on the gameplay concepts, like the early idea is just like the story. Yeah, the story has to be predicated by the gameplay. The gameplay comes first, but like we're big fans of the idea that the gameplay should like be informed by the story. So if there are gameplay decisions that are made, it would be nice for the story to account for them. So that was part of the thought process all along. But it's not like here's the story and now let's like make all the gameplay to serve it. It's all been very kind of organic from there. But we'll show a lot more about like the narration and stuff and how that came together at like basically about 2 months after this build that you just saw is like when the narration stuff came online. And
well, let's get to the new stuff now. So we saw the old. We've seen the first look. Now this is the most recent stuff you have to show off. Give us a little setup on what we're going to see.
Yeah.
Here.
So this is a level that we've never shown before, and
better days, the melting bottom was sealed tighter than the skin on the squirt.
And I will politely shut up as the narrator talks here from time to time.
Here the kid can choose the best tools for the job.
We'll just kind of show you some of the new, just an example of some of the new content. If nothing else, this shows a contrast of like what a difference a year makes in the development of a game like this. If you've been following the game before, we're about to show you a couple of weapons that you've never seen before, which are the Army Carbine here and the War Machete. We'll equip the Squirt Lure here. Would you like to play? So Gavin's gonna drive the demo.
Don't screw
here.
this up, Gavin.
Yeah. So this is still early in the game.
Okay.
To survive the calamity, it had to be stab weeds.
The narrator is describing stab weeds here, which sort
Lots
of.
of things hurt like a broken heart.
Yeah. So this is an early level in which your kind of your quest has been set forth
If
that you're.
there's a core, he figures it ought to be deeper down. Ain't no easy
Oh,
way
God.
out of this mess. Core's locked down tight in that hallowed cage.
So Vinny specifically wants to know something about a bullwhip. Maybe
Yes,
a bullwhip in here.
Yeah, that's one of the we have like over a dozen weapon prototypes and stuff,
He
and
throws
the
a
bullwhip is
switch.
one of them.
Now what could possibly go wrong?
So in this mission, Gavin's trying to retrieve that core that.
As it turns
Okay,
out,
that's under the glass there.
Yeah, and it's going to start lifting
the
very
cage
slowly.
starts lifting from the core ever so slow.
Yeah, the narrator's just gonna explain all this stuff.
He's telling you what's going on.
He can do.
Let him do his job, Greg.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about. I noticed there's a unique mechanic with the rifle with the aiming.
Yeah, basically it's so if you've seen the bow before, it's like the bow gets stronger the longer you pull it.
Some spring to the kids.
Whereas the Army Carbine it's like an instant shot weapon, but the longer you hold the fire button, the more accurate it becomes.
Right.
So you sort of it's kind of simulating the idea of aiming down the sights. So you get like a perfect accuracy if you wait long enough, or you can shoot like a point blank from the hip shot.
How long
like
did it
that.
take to settle on that mechanic specifically?
So that was just a direct thing out of prototyping. We knew we had our we didn't have an instant fire sort of weapon where the charge did something to accuracy and spread. So Gavin just basically had the idea for it within a couple hours. It was in, and it felt good. So we started to put real art on it and put real stuff around it. But it came out of the fact that in the early prototypes, the crossbow and the longbow and stuff that we originally had just just were all slow charge up kind of thing. So we needed something quick and high damage.
Now, what are these sluggish trail leaving enemies here?
Those are that's a particular breed of scumbag. That big guy right there. There's like the smaller, greener one walking around, and he leaves this kind of snail trail around. So they're kind of unpleasant, and those blue puddles slow you down and cause damage. So they're an example of how we want you to be moving around the environment. You know, this is a game where you can't really stand still to fight. You're constantly having to adjust your position in like a more favorable way in the middle of the battle.
It ain't all bad. Just a kid find some spices from the motherland. Tax-free.
Ooh, ancient spices.
Yes. So that's an example of an item where you bring it back to town and you learn a bit more about the world.
Popcorn machines.
Yeah. Yes, or squirt machines. That was a mine that Gavin just set off. It's one of his special weapons. There it goes.
Yeah, I see it.
So yeah, and this is basically, you know, combat in this game can get pretty hectic, but at the same time, it's the sort of thing where you keep your head about you, and they're always. We want you to have a lot of options, have like a nice wide area of gameplay to use all your different weapons, position yourself however is best. You know, in this particular mission, a few of these, due to earlier events that happen, some of the gas fellows and squirts and stuff are actually fighting with you.
Oh, interesting. Well, don't give too much of that away.
Yeah, it's not a big, yeah.
Let's get some questions from. We get Crystal.
Yeah. Jesse Cherry from the chat asks, who does the music for this game?
That would be Darren Korb, who is my childhood friend who I've known since I was 7, and who is our audio director. He directs the narration, and he does all the music.
He was the bearded fellow from the
from the video. He's the guy with the awesome chops.
Yeah.
He's also a world champion rock band player. So there
oh,
you
really?
go. Yeah, he's
documented.
Documented like one.
Yeah, he won the
world,
championship.
His band won it. So,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get one more question from Internet Steve here.
Are the weapons loot, or is it unlocked by level, progress, or something else?
You find weapons in levels, but then you can upgrade them with materials and stuff that you can that you also find in the world. So you have a choice of sort of going deep and upgrading your hammer, or upgrading a couple other things there, like your machete, the bullwhip, the carbine, or whatever else might survive to the final game.
And the idea is, it's not like you find, you know, like a resplendent hammer of the whale to like replace your earlier hammer or something like that. We want you to get pretty attached to the weapons you find, and feel like you can like commit to them and upgrade them in unique ways and stuff like that. But the game is going to give you a chance to play around with everything and reward you for trying different, mixing and matching different combinations and stuff.
Well, if it doesn't feel like it can make the cut for the final game, pre-order. Always a great way to show. He's the kind of, well, we weren't going to use this, but pre-order bonus. Enjoy. Well, Greg, Amir, Jen, Gavin, thank you guys so much for coming through and checking us in on Bastion. The game is looking awesome. What have you guys got? A little more. Greg, you already said basically just game.
What's
from
coming next?
now, but what's the focus next for you guys?
So we're on our basically our next world, which has a whole new set of art and enemies, and the next set of weapons and encounters and all the stuff that we're gonna populate that place with.
So how dramatically is like kind of the art style? Jen, is the art style going to shift from
Don't give too much away.
from one world to the next?
I think, like, as is the case with any world that you want to create, like, we want to make it somewhat dramatically different, where, you know, it gives you a different emotional feeling as you're walking through it. Greg, feel free to chime in,
I
of course.
agree with all that. Yeah.
But yeah, so we don't want to launch you into like suddenly you're on Mars or something, right? There's nothing so drastic as that, but we definitely want to show our players more of the world that has been blown up, and how after an apocalypse it can be beautiful.
Excellent. Well, we're gonna let you guys get back to that. Then we're also gonna give you guys back that camcorder so we can get more juicy behind-the-scenes development drama. I heard there was a screaming fight about dragon wings earlier, which I love. God, I love that. I love knowing furious, like, no, fuck you. You're all wrong about this. Dragon wings.
Wing buffeting, yes.
You guys are all
enraged
all idiots.
arguments.
Once again, Greg, Amir, Jen, Gavin, thank you guys so much for coming by and spending some time with us. Hello and welcome. I'm Ryan Davis. We'll be getting to the Whiskey Media Happy Hour in just a moment, but first, not even just a moment. Hold on to your damn horses. We'll get to that when we're good and ready. It's your free Friday live show. But before that, we've got everyone just about from Supergiant Games. How y'all doing?
Great.
Thank you for bearing with us through everything. Now we've been, for those who haven't been following the story, we've been following you guys as you've been working on Bastion, your first independently developed game. We gave you guys a camera. You've been shooting yourselves in your big crazy house where you've been where you've been developing a game like it was the real world, except nerdier with more 20-siders. So you've also got a fresh build as well as a vintage build of the game with you here. We're going to take a look at those in a little bit, but first, part 2 of building the Bastion, where the magic happens.
Hey, Giantbomb. This is a tour of Supergiant Games. You go in. You immediately enter the office. Gavin, doing code, managing his extensive collection of metal songs. This is where I sit. So we got the 4 monitors. There's Greg. There's Jen. There are the Craisins. These are the ring pops. We were gonna like wear and eat them while demoing the game, but we decided against it. Yeah. This is the calendar that we don't use. And there's like the email that we got into the PAX 10.
July 1st.
This is the meeting room. There's a TV. This is my bag of dice that I use to play D&D with. I should zoom in on that because it's critical. They're doing game development.
Like hours.
Yeah.
I mean, square after square.
Well, we have the audio line that was supposed to be a hint. It may not be that, hey, that look good.
Check out this slim zoom onto the game development that is happening before your eyes.
No pressure on your shoulder.
Yeah, dude, I got some good cards.
So the mortar. So do you want to do the mortar after playing with it, or were you thinking before, like too powerful?
It's awesome.
Oh,
shit! Boom!
Dude,
Alright,
broke
so
tiles and everything.
Well,
So it's like
That's cool.
It's right death weapon.
oh, dude, are we gonna world
Oh,
premiere the
whoa.
bullwhip too? Oh man, this should not go on the internet. Everyone on the internet, please ignore bullwhip.
We just really want to make an isometric Castlevania game.
Oh Jesus! All right, I need to cut.
Hey, so it's been almost 3 months since I officially joined Supergiant Games, and yet I've done almost nothing to make my home office presentable. It's about 2 weeks since I joined Supergiant Games full-time. It's pretty cool being able to work from home like this, though we'll see if it drives me completely insane. I'm already, 3 days gone without shaving, so I'll be, wild mountain man here, probably in no time flat. Pretty much nothing has moved here. In fact, everything is just kind of messier. This is some doll's house that my wife's grandfather made. Yeah, not that great. Baby Matt. I brought these games with me to 2K because they are among the games that have influenced me for various reasons. Fallout is one of the greatest games of all time. Torment, just a fantastically written game. I'm a sucker for games with great atmosphere, so everything from Max Payne to Thief to Undying to System Shock 2 are all examples of games that, for my money, have just amazing atmosphere. This is more stuff from 2K. Grim Fandango, excellent writing. Out of This World, also known as Another World. There's a great story in this game, but not a single word or written or spoken otherwise. Fear, still for my money, the best combat in a first-person shooter. Super Robot Tyson Original Generations for the PS2 imported. And one of my all-time favorite games, Ultima 5. This is the original Apple II version. Hopefully I won't accidentally destroy this on camera. So, In the good old days, they didn't sell you collector's editions. This is just what you got in the box. This game came on 4 double-sided discs. Has like, I'm missing the little trinket that came with it, but this is like, it's called the Book of Lore, and that's basically what it is. It's got like all the creatures, and Ultima, of course, has its own like runic language, which I had like memorized and could write in at a certain point in my life. All the spell books and spell circles, rather. Yeah. So, and this is one of its infamous cloth maps, which I will keep here in the box. But yeah, that's quality. And as games go digital, or as games start to cheap out more and more on their packaging, this is what goes away. I think this is an aspect. You know, some of this is still preserved in things like I've got here the BioShock 2 Collector's Edition, but you know, you have to pay a premium for it. I'm glad it still exists in some capacity, but yeah, they don't. I guess it's a sign of getting old or something. But I honestly feel like they don't make them like they used to. You may, oh wow, it's zoomed in. Seen some of this place before, potentially, but now it is weeks, potentially months after we have last shown it, and the funny thing about it is it really hasn't changed at all, and there's like entire stacks of papers that haven't moved. Gavin here is putting some of the finishing touches before it gets all polished and everything on what we're calling the Shrine system, which is a way of allowing the player to deliberately make the game harder on himself in exchange for greater rewards, sort of an in-game way of tuning difficulty. These are a bunch of posters I brought here weeks ago. We have this other stuff. This is kind of cool. Our signed Red Alert 3 poster. This is the project that Amir and Gavin and I all worked on together from start to finish. I'm not sure where Amir's and Gavin's signatures are, but mine is right there. What are we seeing here, Amir? What are we looking at?
So Jen has concepted an enemy for one of our new worlds, which you can see on the right monitor here. And one of the most fun parts of this is...
Frog is not its final name.
So one of the most fun parts is when we send the concept off, and then a couple weeks later, Mike Colonnese, who's our modeler we work with on CNC games, sends it back to us, and we get to see what the model looks like in Max, if you can see it there, and what the render looks like after we apply some of our shaders to it to make it sit a little bit better in our hand-painted 2D world.
Yep. What do you say, Jen?
I think it's pretty good. Just need some texture tweaks.
Yep.
And maybe small revisions, but yeah, overall it's pretty darn close. So.
Yes. So we're happy.
We are happy.
This is a pretty stereotypical video game development studio, I must say, between the Star Wars posters and the Middle Earth map. So these are the office dogs. One of them is named Brian. This one here, who apparently is frozen, and this one here is imaginatively named Fluffy, probably because he's fluffy. I wanted to give you a little demonstration of the editor we use to build all the content in Bastion. This is a map we showed on the first installment of building the Bastion. Everything is kind of what you see is what you get, so you can move around various obstacles. You could add whatever you want. Here's our whole repository of obstacles here. So if we want to add some, some bricks or something, we can do that. If we want to move things around, we can do that. We can scale things, we can change their color, all kinds of stuff just to tweak the heck out of this. Of course, just placing things in a particular way is only a small part of the puzzle here, because there's also our script editor. If you know anything about game making, it's just like a series of called statements causing certain things to happen. It's not really programming, but it's like a simple language that you use to cause different events. So here for instance is the introduction pan. Like when you first go into the map, you see a little event. So all kinds of different things happen. These things may look simple, but they're fairly sophisticated. So this shows you a lot of the ugly kind of behind the scenes stuff that goes into, you know, sequencing a map, making it actually work, playing all the audio, causing all of the enemies to spawn when they're supposed to, and stuff like that. But this editor is really fantastic. It's custom built for this game. We can rapidly iterate in the game and just kind of load up, you know, if we don't like a particular enemy spawn, we just kind of tweak it a little bit, place it differently, hit a couple of buttons, and the game instantly restarts, and we could check it out again. So we could basically work as quickly as possible. We're not set back by the tools, because if you're a small developer with a small number of people, if you don't have good tools, you're pretty much dead. So this is where the work actually happens. So you can see it's a fairly modest establishment, which will look much prettier the next time we show it. There's a backyard area back here. It's not actually Oblivion.
Who's gonna make it prettier?
Who's gonna make it prettier? I think we will. The point. No, what we were gonna do today was mock ourselves by showing this place looking exactly the same as it did weeks ago, and then like basically degrade ourselves into sprucing it up and cleaning up a little bit and decorating. But we have failed to do that, but we're showing the thing anyway. This is just kind of a terrible mess. This is all the stuff I got for the office, and I was supposed to get rid of these boxes, but I haven't yet. But I will do that now that I have shown you how disgusting of a place this is. The walls are also totally barren, and I should adorn them with something. But yeah, we've kind of been working away, so cleaning up not a huge priority.
So there you go. There's part 2 of building the Bastion. Part of the fun of this for me is this is the first time you guys see what we've put together from the raw footage, because you guys shoot a bunch of stuff and we kind of, you know, chop it up and put it together in a little package. How do you feel about how your process is being represented thus far?
Mad at Vinny for showing the bullwhip. But other than that, I had no idea how much Greg films himself. Because we have no idea what he does with the camera.
He takes off with the camera, and then Lord knows.
Yeah, exactly.
See all the stuff that we didn't show you. Hey man, you know, get in where you can. When that camera's there, get in its face. You know, that's clearly the answer here, or it will just be the Greg show. Or the promise of cleanliness show, I guess. So what's our state here? Can we get a check in? We saw this stuff of everything is filthy. Has anything been cleaned up?
No.
We put up a couple of posters.
Put up the posters.
Yeah,
a couple
that's
of
about
the posters
it.
have gotten better.
Progress. So we'll be done in like 5 years. Like that.
Fantastic. So that's a amount of time. We've covered some time there for development. But what are you guys working on now? What's the current state of Bastion?
Well, we're like in the thick of production. We're making lots of levels. Recorded something like a couple of 100 lines of additional audio just this week. New music, new everything. It's just kind of like building out the whole rest of the game. So it's that kind of noses to the grindstone type of period. So yeah, we can go for weeks without moving ring pops or something like that.
I did like the craisins being in the exact same spot.
We ate those craisins, I think.
And also, how's the whip?
The whip is in peril of potentially not making it.
We're not very pleased with the whip.
I was gonna say this is gonna have to be like one of those like pre-order DLC things.
Maybe it's so.
The shitty weapon that we didn't really want to include with the game. That always it's a pre-order bonus. Thanks, guys. Speaking of which, Greg, you spent a fair amount of time taking to task modern game packaging. For a digital game developer, that's a certain amount of hubris.
Fair enough. It's just like that ultimate package is
gorgeous.
I figure it's like if there's not going to be anything good in the box, then you might as well go digital anyway. It's kind of like I'm glad we're not in a box because it'll. If we did.
We're confirming now, no Bastion cloth map.
I don't know, not in any kind of box, but we might. Now that you mention it, we should like make one for for our office or something like that. We will have a digital map that we can show later.
for posterity's sake.
Yeah.
So the last time that we had you guys here in the studio, you showed us a year-old build of the
Yep.
game. We're back again. We have both a fresh new build that picks up from where the PAX 10 build left off, but we've also got another nice old build to dig into here.
Yeah.
Let's
we can start it up.
yeah.
This-
I'm gonna switch the inputs here so we can get that going and.
to
There we go.
go,
There we
there
go.
it
Yeah.
So this is almost this is basically exactly a year old. This is from January last year, and if for those who
Again, making Jen crazy.
Yeah.
So this is still features.
Crazy impressed.
Yeah, it still features none of Jen's art. So that moment you saw there is like the sort of similar to the he gets up moment that you can see on the Giantbomb first look and stuff like that.
Yeah, basically this is the first time the game had any kind of like sense of a story or a campaign to it. And
Yeah.
None of the voiceover is in, but there's this kind of basic dialogue system and this idea of like getting up after some kind of mysterious event happened.
This is in a way, even though it's more abstracted, this is way more grim than what we've seen of the current opening.
This was sort of like the original tone that we thought the game might take. We've got bodies everywhere. Clearly, some horrible event happened. There are roaches. Everything inexplicably bleeds. Yeah, here we go.
That would disturb me.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is still
Rocks bleed.
Yeah, rocks bleed.
Things have lots of hit points.
Yeah, you should just keep going.
Yeah.
So what's happening here, I couldn't really
Possibly explain.
Yeah, tell you, but he's about to go to the Bastion for the first time, as we imagined it might be. So here we go. Warp away.
First, I will kill this dude.
Yeah.
To the moon.
The moon
Yep.
is the warp device.
Yeah. It's those are again. We apologize to the copyright holders.
Yes.
Of all of
TSR.
the art.
Yes,
TSR.
Wizards of the
We're
Coast.
just gonna credit Google Images and call it even.
So here we go to the Bastion. It's already populated. It's already got people in it, which is already different than what we've shown before. Here's the Carpenter, who was going to be a central character in the game. Gives you these blueprints, and then we get the first version of building in Bastion, which is betraying our RTS roots. We thought it'd be awesome if you could just place the buildings anywhere and go into this zoomed out perspective.
How long before that got dashed?
Like a month later, we realized that was a terrible idea. And then you
Now you can go off into distant lands. So like structurally, some of this stuff has carried over or evolved from here, and now you're in one of these worlds that's like at least reminiscent of some of the stuff we have today, where you can see the sky in the background, the world forming up around you. This is the first version of an enemy that is actually still in the game.
I was gonna say that's absolutely recognizable. Like obviously the assets have changed.
Yeah. It looks like it's like a version from 1998 or something like that, but it's only a year old. Yeah, it was a good year.
Is there anything at all, like obviously there's a lot of ideas and stuff that you have here that are still in place, but is there anything from a production level in here that has persisted?
Yeah, so the music.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So a lot of the music, was like ahead of a lot of the things in the game. The music's done by Darren Korb, the only guy who's not on the couch with us right now. And he basically started composing for the game, and a lot of the music just stayed. So like a lot of the feel actually comes out of that. Watch Greg die here. Oh, nice.
No way, man.
You forget that the way you win is mash B. So here you can see some of the early ideas for levels too. That you find your first survivor here, who is this mongrel man scanned out of a D&D book.
I was gonna say he does not look like he's in great shape.
No, he's not.
He's been sitting in these cubes for years.
So you talk to him, and then because we want to cover the transition, because we can't animate or move him, we fade to white, and there
and
he goes back to town, and now you can follow him back to town by fading yourself. Here we are back in town, and we've got an additional member of town. It's very exciting. The population is
Additional
growing.
Conversations with him and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think you can place a new structure. Anyway.
So that's a year ago.
Yeah, that's a year ago.
Let's quit out of this and let's go ahead and see what the latest you have while we switch over. We've got Internet Steve just off camera manning the chat room. Steve, how's it going in there?
It's going well.
Do we have any questions for
Yeah, we do.
Team Supergiant? here?
Kelly Synth wants to know, how important is having Star Wars posters to game development?
I mean, I think it's vital.
Clearly.
Especially with the recent passing of Irvin Kershner. You just need
Yeah,
to remind
that's right.
yourself of what is good in writing and what is good in life, and Star Wars is good.
Didn't we reference the poster's pose for something recently? I
Yeah.
feel like there was a conversation about that.
Yeah, the poster is really dynamic and amazing anyway, so if you have questions about what something should look
Right.
like, you just kind of
It's
point
just kind of
at
like,
the poster.
well, it's Luke Skywalker and Leia.
When he does this.
When he does this. Like that.
So you don't have to do the pose anymore. You
No,
can just
just-
point
Exactly,
to it.
exactly.
That's a lot more elegant for sure. Steve, more questions, please.
Brad wants to know, how do you guys like working in a house environment versus typical office style?
Yeah, how is the shared space, the living, working?
It's really convenient because you're like 20 steps away from where you sleep, so you can kind of always work. And that is also probably like the worst thing about it, is that you end up just like working randomly when you don't expect to. And if you ever want to get away from what you're doing, you can't really, because
You have to leave. You have to actually.
yeah, you just pass through the mess of the office every time you need to do anything. Yeah.
And all of our social skills degenerate.
Yeah. So we can only.
We no
I'm
longer
surprised
can have
that-
real conversations.
I'm surprised that we haven't gotten to the point where like with twins, where they have their own secret language.
I'm sure we're getting there.
My car battery has like died several times since I've.
Oh, really?
Just doing
And
the
it's
car.
just from like forgetting to leave the house.
Which is happening
because
to
I
us a
can
lot.
just go down the hall to work.
All right, so we've got this build up here. Set us up for what we're gonna see.
Yeah, so for those who've seen the game before, we are in the Bastion here. This is basically right at the end of what we showed at PAX for the first time. So you arrive at this place, which is the people's safe haven, but no one is here, and the place isn't even fully formed. So we're going to set up our first structure. I'm going to pick the arsenal.
Man, again, after looking at that year-old build, Jen, this art rocks.
So this is
Thank you. I'm a little like worried looking at it here because it's really saturated. I wonder if people's eyes are gonna burn. I'm gonna get sued.
No, it'll be
It's
fine.
fine.
Like, blinding.
So I'm going to set myself up with a couple of weapons here, and we're going to go off into a level that we haven't shown before.
Right. So
but-
the PAX 10 demo just kind of ended.
Yeah, it
right
ends
here.
right here, but instead,
The skyway.
we
Ride the wind, the distant land.
we open up our overworld where you you begin to unlock these new areas that you could go to.
Them windbags used to keep the city humming along here.
So you can learn about these areas before you go in, and then you can go on in and hopefully get what you need and come back.
On that overworld screen there, did I happen to see some sort of runic language?
That was
Yeah.
Ultima 5 inspired.
If you played Ultima 5, then you can read all of it.
Suddenly everything makes sense.
You can kind of see the influence of the prototype stuff here, because so you've got 4 clear ways you can go, and they all sort of just start coming up around you as you start moving. So this is actually.
Can I actually? I'm sorry, I don't interrupt, but can you then, after you've explored one of these, you can go back and do the other arms of this? Okay.
And
Thank God.
he actually says sort of different stuff depending on which one you go down first.
Oh, okay, cool.
So he responds to what you sort of choices you make, even within a level.
Kid ain't ever seen an elephant squirt before.
So this is Greg fighting an elephant squirt. The
Yeah,
bigger of the squirts.
And I just got a new weapon here, the war machete, so you can cut them up.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this just once though, is that the people not playing the game on camera, making fun of the guy playing on camera. We'll have to play the game on camera at some
next time,
point.
yeah.
When we have our multiplayer deathmatch mode.
We also got another new ability right here, which is the squirt lure.
Squirts just don't
So I'm gonna
quit. Squirts don't make the best of friends, but they can be useful in a pinch.
I can summon my own squirts to fight for me now. The ones with the hearts up
Right,
there.
right.
So those are, they can all just have at it, and we'll see where the dust settles. Of course, they can kind of draw the enemy's attention for me, or I could just let them.
Does that only work on the smaller enemies, or?
No, I mean they'll. Well, so the squirt lure specifically summons these guys.
Okay.
It didn't like charm them. It actually like digs one out of the ground.
Okay.
So now those guys.
Biggest dump in town. Scumbag alley.
Scumbag alley.
Scumbags still feeding on the city's own trash.
So yeah, we're still exploring here.
So we got a lot of questions at PAX about, is the game sort of proceed linearly along these predefined paths, and that's just sort of what the prologue was like, but as you go through the game, the levels kind of open up more. You have more freedom of where you go and what you tackle first. And you get all the reactive narration to that as you go as well. So here, Greg is fighting Herschel, one of the oldest scumbags.
Now, is that just within the fiction, or is that just as far as design goes?
Yeah, it's both. So they're supposed to... The thing about all these enemies is they're actually part of the same faction, this windbag faction. So they sort of represent different parts of the life cycle of these creatures. So those scumbags are the older ones. Squirts are the younger ones.
Still chilling. Up. Do your thing.
Okay, so the lures are then area based. They don't tag along.
Yeah.
Okay.
You pick up more black tonics and set them up in different places.
It's like kind of gross turrets.
Yeah, they are like kind of gross turrets.
Right back at you.
Yeah. So.
Oh God!
Well, why do I keep?
Already
the
feeling
TV
a
is
difference.
Too far away. Too far away from me.
Already feeling a difference in the art style. Like there was, kind of a dusty Wild West feel for the first level, and here we're getting into this, kind of more jungle, lush.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to the idea is you're exploring, parts of this kind of destroyed city that was once very great, and you start to get bits and pieces of what life was like around there. These guys are all stoked that I managed to best their foreman. So now we have the. We have what we need, but we can keep exploring if we want.
So the scumbags are we implying here then the scumbags are not inherently evil?
That's right. None of these guys are really basically, and you start learning about them pretty much right away. But they used to tend to the mines beneath the city. But after the calamity happened, the mines presumably were destroyed, and these guys were pushed up into the city, and so they're searching for something. They're trying to survive, and they have turned rather ornery.
Certainly.
So everyone is trying to kind of find something or get something in this world now, but not everyone. There's not much left, so you kind of got to fight for it. Might have.
So here, I don't know if we've shown this before. This is our upgrade system where Greg's got a material, he's got his machete, he's going to spend a couple of those fragments that he's been collecting to kind of upgrade it.
So these are persistent, per weapon upgrades.
Yeah, exactly, and now that Greg's sort of found the forge in the world, he's going to be able to put it together back in town if he wants to.
Yep.
He's ready to go, and his ticket out's right where it started.
So you can sort of see the loop we were getting at in the prototype stuff is fully alive here, which is go out in the world, find stuff that you want to bring back into the town, and build up your town, build up your character.
Just like I knew he would.
Okay, so now we have the forge. We can take it back to one of these open spots.
Exactly. First, he's got to. Well, he can talk to the narrator there. He can place the core he got,
Only fair he decides what we build next.
which sort of grows and expands the Bastion, and now he can go to his build plot and he can put down the forge or the distillery, which is another building he's found. He chooses the forge so he can upgrade more of his weapons, and he can, as he collects more weapons, collects more upgrade materials, he can keep advancing his machete or whatever else he wants.
Did we see the distillery last time?
I think we might have. It's in the original. It's got the doom shine and all those kind of things that you use to enhance your character's abilities.
So,
though sometimes at a cost.
And as you can see, the Bastion is really big and can support a number of other structures as well that hopefully in future episodes we can talk about some of the stuff that does.
Very cool stuff. Are you guys up to field a few more questions from the
Absolutely, yeah.
Internet Steve, why don't you hit us?
Mesmero wants to know what end-of-the-world mythology inspired the premise for Bastion, Ragnarok, Revelations, of Michael Bay.
Nice. It's not any one thing. We definitely, in fact, I think we were fairly we were fairly uncomfortable in some respects of even having like the idea of a post-apocalyptic type of thing, because that type of premise has so much baggage, and we didn't want that bleak feel that you actually saw in the early in the previous prototype that we got. The tone of this is, as you can hopefully get, is really quite different, and it doesn't have that like hopeless like bleakness that apocalyptic fiction usually has. So although we've referred to a lot of that stuff, whether it's Ragnarok or Revelations or whatever, I'm familiar with all of that stuff to varying degrees, but not any one or two of those things is like what we're going for.
I mean, post-apocalypse is kind of a fallacy anyways, because if it's the apocalypse, there's nothing left.
Yeah, right. That's true.
There's actually nothing left.
Yeah.
In Fallout, things actually keep going.
Yeah.
More questions, please, Internet
Yeah,
Steve.
since last time we've seen you, what's been the biggest problem you guys had to face so far? Any specific bugs, level designs, etc.?
Sure. So I think one of the biggest challenges we've had recently is on the weapons, which you saw. So we have this big arsenal planned, and you have these ideas for how the weapons are going to turn out, and then when you actually start to implement them and make them, some of the things kind of surprise you in terms of how cool they turned out. Like you saw us get all excited about the mortar when we first put it in, because as soon as Gavin implemented it, he put a lot of time into thinking about how that's supposed to work, how the lob math is supposed to be, and how to make the perfect feeling projectile in our tiny isometric world. And you fire the thing, it explodes, maybe some terrain shakes loose, maybe an enemy, you catch 2 or 3 enemies in a single explosion, and it feels like really, really good. That's the start of something really promising. On the other side, you put the whip in for the first time, you start mashing B, shitty 4-frame animation starts flailing out, and you just sort of put your head in your hands and you go, man.
So there's a lot of that stuff, like you can plan it, you can design it, but you're not going to know how it's actually going to react.
Yeah, no, you don't, because on paper everything looks so good. It looks so good, and then
I love that quote. On paper everything looks so good.
Yeah, and then you put it in the game, and into the game you actually have, not the game you planned 4 months ago, and it's like, wow, why did we think this was going to work?
Yep.
This is awful. But it's part of the fun of it too.
Yeah.
Can you guys elaborate a little more on the shrine system?
Yeah, sure. Basically, it's in a lot of games you make a choice up front about what difficulty you want to play at, right? And like in our game, the shrine is going to allow you to tune the difficulty in the context of the game as a system that's like embedded in the fiction and everything. So it's like, I guess it's sort of comparable to like the skulls in Halo or something like that, where you can you can like enable skulls to make the game harder, except rather than like choose that from a menu outside of the game, it's actually built into the fiction and what's going on in this world. So the basic gist of it is that you can sort of invoke this pantheon of gods that kind of presides over this world, but it's not like a deeply religious world. It's kind of like people may adorn their walls with images of these gods, but they don't really pray to them that much. But if you want to mess with them, they'll kind of grant you certain favors, but may make things more difficult in different ways as well. It's like an a la carte difficulty tuning system. It's not just like make everything harder. It'll have different effects that you can mix and match to kind of create different challenges. Again, bump up the difficulty to whatever feels really good to you.
And now, is it just sort of a system that's in place just to kind of for balancing issues, or is it like is there going to be a payoff?
Yeah. There's absolutely a payoff in sort of the resources that you get from the game. So there's absolutely a reward at stake kind of for each one of these things that you decide to activate. But the default tuning of the game is meant to be kind of for the average player, and for people who want to like play through successively, or who are just like really, really good at games, they might want to kind of bite off more.
And we've been playing the game for a year, right? So our skill level at it is probably relatively higher than the average player, and we find ourselves super excited when the shrine system got in to just turn it on, make certain aspects of the sort of level up the enemies, make certain aspects of them harder, and then go in and test our skills, and we get more stuff for it.
I don't want you guys to give away anything, but can you kind of just give a couple of examples of specific?
Yeah, I mean one of them like a basic but really good one. Is the one basically there's one that makes all the enemies faster, both in terms of how quickly they attack and how quickly they move, and it totally changes the way you play, because this is the sort of game where you have to like there's some pattern recognition around enemies, and you learn kind of how quickly enemies attack and stuff like that. When suddenly all that changes, you have to like relearn how to fight each of the enemies. And enemies that previously, you could outrun, now they're faster than you and stuff like that.
But imagine that changes a lot of dynamics.
Yeah, but once the experience numbers start going up or they start dropping better loot, you get kind of addicted to the changes that can come about by using it.
Cool stuff. Let's get one more question from Internet Steve in the chat.
Yeah, do you guys pay attention to other indie developers and games for inspiration and trends? Do you guys look for certain trends?
We definitely pay attention to their games. Yeah. We've been playing a lot of games from other independent developers. I mean, we've been
what, in your time, what's the last game you've been playing?
I was just playing Elo Milo like earlier this week, and I played a bunch of Super Meat Boy, of course, when that came out. Yeah. Limbo is one of my favorite games this year, just like across digital or not.
A lot.
So I mean, a lot of that stuff, it's like, even if I wasn't working on this stuff, I'd be playing that stuff anyway, because it's where a lot of the real creativity is. I think at this point, it's like, even among all the great kind of retail games that have come out this year, it's like most of them are frankly sequels that are based on kind of well-trod territory, whereas stuff like Limbo is just unique. So it's great to see. I mean, all that stuff is really inspiring to me. Not the good stuff anyway. Not in like a direct way, but it's just always refreshing to see people coming up with totally new ideas and executing on them so well. And these are also small teams like ours, so some of the successes are really encouraging.
Very cool, very cool. Well, I think we're about out of time here, but Greg, Amir, Jen, Gavin, thank you guys so much for coming through and giving us another look at Bastion. I guess we'll see you guys in about a month.
Yep.
Absolutely. Back for more of this. We will come back for the Whiskey Media Happy Hour in just a minute. We're going to take a quick break and reset everything here, but stay tuned for more live fun. Welcome to Building the Bastion, Giantbomb's, again, for the second time, for the first time, Giantbomb's exclusive look at the creation of Bastion, an indie game from Supergiant Games. We have Supergiant Games here on the couch, at least a good majority of them. We've given you guys a camera to record the process of building a game, and you've come back with a bunch of footage. We've cut up that footage, and now we have that to present to the folks at home. So we're going to talk to you guys in a minute, but without further ado, here is part 3 of Building the Bastion.
Hey, so I'm in the middle of hooking up a bunch of audio lines, actually, that we just recorded for the game. So I thought it might be a good time to talk about audio because I'm in the middle of doing it right now. So this is actually the opening to a level we've seen before. So we'll go from the editor and we'll go into the spreadsheet, which is the dialogue sheet. And here we've got writing from Greg. So Greg's got this line that he's planning to introduce the level with, and it's, "In better days, the melting pot was sealed tighter than the skin on a squirt." And then we even have alternate lines there too, for if you go through and play it a second time, or maybe if you die. It's a technique that you see in GTA and a couple other games, and it's alive and well in our game because we have so much audio. So what's cool is like how the thing evolves from when we start putting in the audio, right? So I sent off that stuff, and it was just this like, weird gray box thing. Greg named it the melting pot, and he said it's sealed up tighter than the skin on a squirt. And then I go, okay, well that's a really cool line. How do I make an introduction that like sells that line? So I've got my 4 little squirt guys here, and I decided to make a camera pan. I thought, oh, it would be kind of funny if you have these little friendly squirts looking around, and then we did something interesting with it. So here's where that went after Greg wrote that line. So you've got these little squirts, and they're looking around, and we've got the name of our level, the melting pot there, and then you don't know what they're up to, but bam, the kid comes in and kind of squashes them. So that's just sort of an example of how we went from a gray box level, we started writing some audio, the art started coming together, Greg wrote a really cool line. I try to make an introduction that kind of sold that line, and then we get into sort of all the play experience, which we've prototyped from the start. So as soon as I pick this guy up, then my little squirt comes out. I have to run around these things and then get into a better position to fight him.
This is the start of the temple.
The shrine.
Or yes, the shrine.
Referenced last time. World premiere of the frog. Completely unpolished. Oh my god! Alright, here we are a few hours later. The shrine.
The shrine.
You added some gear motif things.
I did.
The full horns. So how much do you think our electric bill is? I have the answer in a moment. This certainly isn't help the electric bill here.
It can get up to almost $600 in just overage charges and nonsense for running a game company.
I'm going to update you on the state of the shrine, which I've been working on mostly today. I don't know if this is a good view of it. But anyway, buildings are always one of the more time-consuming obstacles in our game. It's always hard for me to really get a hang of making it look right and isometric, which sometimes involves cheating. I guess if I were smart, I could maybe model it in 3D and use an isometric camera, but smart is not what I expect my skills in.
What are we trying to do here, guys?
I'm
We're
just
just
showing
looking.
Jen
I'm just looking
what
at the thing.
unoriginal ripoff she is.
But the thing is, I don't even know what the hell this pokey thing is. I don't play Nintendo games.
Sure you want to say that on camera?
I'm just saying Nintendo's for kids.
Oh shit! Here we go. This is an actual pokey in action.
So okay, we need to actually like
They have
move
yellow
him.
ones as well, though.
Can we
Yeah.
like can you move across that?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy doesn't. So actually, that's an interesting point. Like, none of our plants like move, but you could just as easily move.
The pieces should like each slat. They could like.
Yeah. Instead of blowing up, they should like roll away. It's like. Oh. And then
Right
you'd be
on
like,
that.
oh, my
How
ball.
the hell is it flying?
This is
No,
the
it's a
video
glitch.
Super Mario 2
Oh,
pokey
monkey
glitch.
glitch. That's why I don't play Nintendo games.
Because they're
Well,
both
so
Look
good.
at that glitch.
Because they're so unpolished.
Beginning of the martini recipe.
Yes, for all the whiskey media people. It's not a straight gin martini or a straight vodka martini.
And here.
You take
Wow.
1 part vermouth, put it in,
There's
then
like
you put
a
1 part
recipe in it
vodka,
for like 10 minutes.
and then you
Alright.
take 1 part
Yeah,
gin,
yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's
you put it in.
Is this not sacrilegious?
great.
No, that's the whole point. People don't even know the vodka's there. Like you put a full part of vermouth, it kind of hides it.
They might know it's there now that
Oh,
we're
yeah.
like shooting this video.
Yeah.
So right now, basically, this has become our pipeline. We give a concept to Mike, and then he brings back a model, and I am in the process of doing a paint over to give him feedback on how this should change to hopefully look better in game. So yeah, lots of bright pink debug lines, text, paintings.
Cool.
Paintings.
So we got our friend the frog back from our animator,
Did
Mr.
you
Mike
like
Lego.
flip in there?
Dude, he does a lot of
Slow that
awesome.
bad boy down.
What do you think, Jen?
He doesn't flip.
What are we about to see here?
We are about to see the finished shrine, more or less finished. Excuse me.
Many moons later.
Eons later, this is it.
Wow. It's got colors.
It's got colors, it's got a magical tree at the top, because magical trees are always what indicates shrines. Also, gigantic faces
Yeah.
are also affording of shrines, and magical pools.
Yes.
You can see I'm very original here. But yeah, so hopefully
Yeah, it looks
once
good.
it gets in,
Yeah.
it looks good and it's fun to go to.
It all represents stuff, man. It's Wednesday.
Thursday.
Oh my God. December 30th. So nearly the end of the year, and we're getting a bunch of stuff done this week, and one of those things includes recording a bunch of additional stuff. And we are very happy to have Mr. Logan Cunningham here in town, and of course Mr. Darren Korb. Darren and Logan, of course, normally work out of New York, but we're all here in the Bay Area. Logan is the voice of our narrator, so he's the voice of Bastion, the voice of reason. And Darren puts the stuff into the game, so Darren is about to warm up his voice using using a book that requires no introduction.
Let's do Sam Elliott.
Shadu are native to hot, arid climates. They have powerful, stocky equine bodies with short, powerful feathered wings. Their heads are large and humanoid, rather dwarven in appearance. They always have beards, singing mustaches. Shadu hair is very bristly. It curls in the tight waves of bands.
That was good. Alright.
That last line.
Luxurious Shadu manes.
Yeah. Alright, let's do Swearage and
You look just like a Shadu.
You remind me of a Shadu I knew.
Shadu are native to hot, arid climates. They have powerful, stocky equine bodies with short, powerful feathered wings. Their heads are large and humanoid, rather dwarven in appearance. They always have beards, sand mustaches.
Oh no.
I've never noticed the typo in the Shadu description.
See
Beards, sand mustaches.
Wait.
See?
Let's call it out on Giantbomb Cam.
Correction to like the
they
19.
always have beard, sand, mustache, .s.
Wow. So someone
That's
like
like-
really
That's
That's
screwed
like
the
a
pooch
super
on-
typo.
Yeah.
He does a flip.
And there you are, part 3 of building the Bastion. How do you guys feel about that?
It's cool.
It was good.
So I've got a ton of questions based on what we've seen here. Amir, so at the beginning of the video there, you were kind of talking about the process, with working with Greg and the dialogue and how that might influence camera movements, things like that. Like how indicative is that of the overall design process for you guys?
That's the total process. I mean, we just start making the levels, we start putting stuff in. We always keep an eye towards what the dialogue might sound like, but once we have a full level, then it's kind of like, Greg, can you make this stuff work? Can you fit it into the existing frameworks we have already for the story and that kind of stuff? And Greg will often come back with a bunch of lines, and we're like, you know what? Actually, let's change that part because this actually makes way more sense, and it'll make it much more cohesive if we do that. And a lot of times lines just come together in the booth, or lines come together on the page that suddenly you really want to use them in different ways.
Now, do you feel like that is like a being small, being independent, being a very tight team?
Oh, yeah,
is that something that you just could not pull off?
Yeah, because at our former employers,
Sure. EA,
yeah, at Electronic Arts, we'd have to finalize all the story beats for your whole mission in advance, even before the mission might be completely done. You send it off to get written. It kind of goes off in the ether. All these audio lines you requested 8 months ago come in, and you start hooking them into your mission. You're like, oh wow, things have changed a lot. You usually get a chance to maybe get some pickups, but that's it. You get 1 or 2 shots, and we get 1 or 2 shots a week.
So this is almost like improvisational game design.
Yeah, it's super. I mean, it's just because we're really quick. We can get Darren and Logan into a booth in 12 hours, or into my closet in 12 hours, and then we can be making changes. Yeah.
So I was going to ask about the audio. How indicative is that setup of where they usually record?
It is significantly more luxurious, I think, because they usually set it up in Darren's closet, and our closet is nicer, I think. So,
You heard it here first. West Coast closets better than East Coast closets.
I mean, they have small New York apartments, and he's got to try and soundproof it from all the noise from the outside and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So in the suburbs of San Jose, it's a little bit easier to get.
But that's really all you need is just a microphone and a quiet place.
Yeah, and that's all. And they do. I mean, they do warm-ups reading the back of cereal boxes and D&D books, and once they get into character, they start doing it.
I was really happy that even though you did not bring the monster manual here
which is
today,
a constant
it
resource.
Still made an appearance.
Yep.
Always inspiring us.
Now, Jen, we got to see the creation process of the not the temple, the shrine. How long? So from beginning to end, how long did that take you to build that?
Each building usually takes about like a day to 2 days.
Okay.
So like, yeah. I guess there's not much to say beyond that. It's like basically I just rough it out. I'm not as good as like painting buildings, I think, as I'd like to be. So the concept process is kind of strange. I just like draw a bunch of boxes. You could probably see a little bit of that framework with like the early concept, and then from that structure, I just go on and like tighten things up and choose colors and just go with my heart.
Do you have like much of an idea when you first start of like what it's going to look like, or is it sort of like, well, I know the basic size and shape of what this needs to be, and then I'll figure out the specifics from there?
It's a little of both, because like I do need to like fit it into game requirements as well. So
Right.
I know that it needs to have like a certain size, like a footprint, which I actually messed up on for the shrine, and it doesn't actually fit.
Jen draws everything at like 10 times the resolution that you'd ever need it.
In case we ever
game
go,
at any
you know,
point,
double
and so we have
HD.
to like keep having to tell her to
Yes.
like down res it like 3-4 times before it'll finally like fit on the screen.
Yeah, but yeah, like I mean, I generally go with like I have a strong feeling maybe of what colors I might like to use, and like the feeling that I might want to invoke, like with how I create the building, and then from there it's just like a very organic process.
Now let's talk about this power bill. So you know, I live in California. I've got PG&E. I know how expensive gas and electric is. Yeah. But how do you spend $600 a month?
Because
computers don't take that much electricity, really.
Yeah, so but we have a lot of them running all the time.
They don't turn off their computers.
And we
I
are
turn
not
off
as
my
good about our
computer.
power saving as we could be. But also the
You're killing this planet. I want you to know
and
that.
I know, and we apologize to the planet. But the reason that happens is you hit a certain break point, which most households don't hit, where every like kilowatt is like way more expensive.
Oh, okay.
So once you hit that special spot, it's like going over your text message limit. It just is like, you know, way higher in price. And so, you know, occasionally we'll not hit it, and every couple, like especially in the winter and the summer when the AC's running or when we've got all those computers and stuff, we hit it, and then it's $600.
Man.
Yeah.
All right. So one more question before we get to the build here. Jen, how did you not know what a Pokey was?
Oh.
How did you not know what a Pokey
Nintendo
was?
is for kids.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
We
kidding.
apologize to Nintendo of America.
You're not going to make it out of this
I don't
building
think-
alive. I just want you to know that right now.
The mob is gathering at the front door.
The doors have been barred.
Mario was not as much of an integral part of my childhood as like some other games were, I
Or
guess.
the PlayStation, yeah.
Yeah, it was more like Zelda. Well, no, Zelda's for Nintendo too, but they don't have Pokies. I don't know. I don't have excuses.
So when you guys saw that, was it an immediate thing of like you made a Pokey?
No, I think it took a little while because we had to put it.
Gavin did that.
Pokey.
Gavin's really good at accusing me of things.
Gavin is always
That
accusing us
reminds
of
me
things.
of.
Yeah, I'm usually right about it.
You're-
That reminds me of-
so you're the accuser. Got it.
Yeah, I immediately saw it and was like, Jen, you know where this is from, right? Also, that shrine she made, I basically think she ripped off some old Nickelodeon show called like Legends of the Hidden
Hey,
Temple.
Legends of the Hidden Temple, yeah.
I like pulled up the picture.
The big face and
she
the
influence. Gavin, it's influence.
Yes.
She
Yeah,
claims
except
she
that I, like,
drew it
never
from
watched
scratch,
it.
but I think she just like traced it.
Yeah.
Well, as we all know, there's
That's most
nothing
of the
new
art,
under the
you
sun.
know.
But we do have some new builds of Bastion to shelf, new and old.
Yeah,
Greg, do you
new
want
and
to set
old,
us up what
indeed.
we've got here?
Yeah, I mean, Amir can talk a lot more about it, but last time we showed something from like December of '09. We're actually skipping ahead to March of 2010. which is a build that was shown to like a really small number of people at the Game Developers Conference. And this is like the first time Bastion looks like a game. It looks way worse than the game does today. Yeah. It's like not because, you know, it's still just a lot of ideas taking form, which Amir can explain if this actually starts. What?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I've been running too long.
Yeah.
American talk
All
a
right.
little bit. Sorry, we're gonna restart
while
it right
while
quick.
we reboot that, we have DNS Dave just off camera.
I am DNSing off camera.
Yep.
Handling the chat, looking for questions.
They're crazy. They're going nuts.
I
That's
bet.
good. Over Nintendo,
Over
just
Nintendo
like how could you?
No, basically the biggest thing. I mean, you know, the chat as always it moves really fast. But as soon as we saw the voice acting from the
Logan,
the Monster Manual, people went nuts. So the chat basically wants to know how did you guys hook up together? How do you find each other? Like, what's the story there?
Logan is my friend from when I was 8 years old, and he's known Darren since I think even before that. We played youth soccer together. And so we just grew up in San Jose. He went to high school with Darren. He's like, you know, a professional actor in New York.
Yeah.
And we just knew we wanted to work with him as soon as we had anything involving voice. So
gaming dreams are made on the soccer field.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's totally it. Just
JV soccer. That's where it starts. Yeah. All right,
we're
so
ready to go here.
We're
Yeah,
good to go
the
here.
controller was unplugged. Go figure. So here, here we go.
Here's a kid whose whole world got all twisted, leaving him stranded on a rock in the
So yeah, to people who've seen the game before, some of this is gonna look and feel a little bit familiar.
Yeah. So this is an old build. You can kind of see we had an old character.
But this is basically like the first time you guys were comfortable enough to show this
other human beings. But we very quickly got the response: "This is not ready to show. Do not show that many other human beings." So, which was some of the best to the first person we showed it to.
This is also the first build that I ever saw.
Yeah, this is the first build Jen ever saw that when we were trying to like convince
So
her.
Jen, this is before your involvement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, before we were trying to get her to stow away with us. So she's not the artist on this. We had a dude named Tierwat who went to art school, who we got to try and help do a bunch of our art. You can see some of the ideas are there, right? It's just a little surreal and weird. You got this like green rocky thing, this kind of destroyed city thing in the background. We've got our character who we know is going to be a young guy, but he's got this sort of strange
comb-over thing.
Yeah, and strange toy soldier.
He looks like
walk.
a Thunderbirds character.
Yeah. We got that.
I mean, we apologize for all of this. This is our first enemy.
Oh, don't apologize. Whatever.
Yeah.
This is you're pulling back the curtain.
Yeah, this is our first enemy, the Mies, who did not make it into the final game. You can hear Logan shattering away there in the background. I hope I'm not ruining it, actually.
And the combat actually it already feels pretty good at this point. Like we have the whole walk run toggle, which we got rid of. It just never felt right, and kind of move acceleration. But the hammer is pretty close to how it feels today and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You just put a lot of time into making that thing
feel
solid.
Good. Yeah, I mean the thing here is it's just it's the start of a lot of things that would actually end up in the final game.
Yeah.
Even though none of this art made it, right? So you can see like that health circle which we're using now. You can see, we need to have a flow where we teach weapons one at a time. We isolate, the encounters. So here he's going to try and use his shield to block, or he's just going to mash B, which also worked in this build.
We're playing with some of the reactive
narration. You can hear sorry, I keep talking over it, but you can hear Logan's voice. We put a lot of hooks in there to try and get him to respond to what you're doing instead of just talking all the time, which is kind of what it felt like at first. So, you swing the hammer, you kill guys in a certain order.
This is still though entirely recognizable as Bastion.
Yeah, which is
art style differences.
You can, and that just shows that. So it took us 6 months to get here, basically, to something that looked like a game where we might want to actually start showing it to people. And so a lot of the combat, the reactive narration stuff, like even actually if you dissect the first look Giantbomb video, like the order of unlocks is almost exactly the same, except for we move the shield to being after the potion.
Yeah.
But you get the hammer. You get a ranged weapon and all that stuff. Actually, the order of unlocks is kind of different, but it's a similar set of things.
obviously some of the music and audio we're still using because Darren's stuff has always been awesome.
Yeah, Darren's sound effects, a lot of them still there, survive. So this was kind of it. It's definitely more surreal. I mean, the response we got from GDC was really interesting. It was basically sort of like, wow, that was really cool. I don't know what is happening, and I don't know what's going on. And I think you guys are on the right track, but they really had a hard time figuring out what was going on.
I mean, I would almost believe this as like a level in Bastion.
Yeah.
Like it's the art style isn't that far off.
Yeah.
Jen, I'm sure you would disagree.
Yeah,
but
I know.
I mean,
Yeah.
Like basic concepts.
Yeah, basic concepts are there.
Absolutely. And like I based what I did off of what I saw here and like looked, at what I liked and didn't like about what was going on. And just tried to make suggestions. But yeah. So it was influential, definitely, on what I ended up doing.
So yeah, that's essentially what we started showing there, and
very cool.
I think that's about it goes on from there. It's actually a pretty long demo.
Well, let's switch over to the new stuff.
Yeah, we could show the back-to-back. And
so you guys have a fresh build.
Yeah,
what's the compiled date for this build?
This is very recent. This is from January 20. Is that right? Yeah, January 12th.
It's a little older than that.
Okay.
It's just the one we packaged together, but yeah, it's from within the last month.
Yeah, this is the build we submitted for final consideration in the Independent Games Festival because we got nominated for 2 awards, which was amazing.
Yeah, congratulations,
thank
you guys. That's so awesome.
It's for visual arts and audio, so.
We've already seen that on the floor there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a similar build to one we've shown in the past, but with some touch-ups here and there. And we're just going to jump into what we call the Breaker Barracks, which is. I'll let him talk.
Used to play a little game. See who could bust the most targets and the fewest shots.
Want to play? We'll go.
I will let you. I want your game to shine. I'm afraid what will happen if I pick it up.
So the idea with the game has a lot of story to it, but there's also a lot of side content as well. Some of which takes the form of these challenges, which have a couple of kind of cool benefits. On the one hand, they give you practice with your weapons and the unique mechanics.
Is the camera much further out here than it was before?
Yeah, we do some zooming and stuff depending on where what the skill we're testing.
Okay, so it's not necessarily just like earlier builds were much closer, later builds are much further out.
We have like a
we
do
have
zooming in the game.
Yeah, there are a good number of camera tricks throughout the game.
Okay.
But yeah, this is like the idea with this particular challenge is you're trying to destroy all these big gourds in as few shots as possible, and if you are successful, you'll get more of these materials up at the top, which you can use to upgrade your weapons.
Greg, you're showing the gold medal run, just so you know.
Am I? I'm about to own it.
No,
yeah, I've had.
Yeah. So the idea is that you have to line up your shot correctly because the longbow can penetrate. So just finding the right angle and stuff is usually the trick with this one.
Let's put this on the fact page. For
yes, exactly. So he did pretty well there. If he wants the first prize, he needs to do it in 5 shots. But he managed to do pretty well. That was something like 7.
Yep.
So there's lots of sort of repeatable challenge content and other content in our game based around testing weapons and testing different skills
But it's hitting different kind of like facets of the gameplay.
Yeah, exactly.
Each weapon has its own mechanics and kind of mastery around it. So not only will you be able to get rewards that help you, but it's like a good place to just practice with each one.
And is this something that you can just jump into whenever?
Yep, and repeat it. You pick up all the weapons, or most of the weapons, during the main story of the game, and we give quick tutorials on how to use them, but then we use the challenges to expand on that and help you master them.
Yeah.
Very cool. Are you guys ready for a barrage of audience questions?
Yep. That's kind of all we got. That's just an example. So we have a ton of different weapons in the game, and each one is going to have its own unique thing.
At a certain point, we can't show too much. Too much more of the game, or else it's just like, we've seen everything that's in there.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton more that we could show, but it's like the story starts going places, and like we do want to safeguard it so that people can have a lot of surprises once it finally comes out.
Fair enough. Dave, do we have a question from the chat?
We do. We have tons of questions from the chat.
I love a ton. Is it a metric ton?
It's the one with the E on the end.
N-N-E. Yes.
Basically, people are wondering, you guys were saying you work fairly freeform, but they also see that the game looks fairly scripted and heavy in the vocal stuff. So do you start with like, here's a general story, or do you have like a real script and then build your level design off of that? Like, what's the process there?
Yeah, so we have a story outline that's existed, for some time, that kind of structures the overall path of the story. It's like a high level framework of like, here are the big things that happen during the course of the story, but it's not like sort of at that tactical level where when we get into making levels, as Amir was saying before, that stuff, there's stories around each level, and we develop those in part around how the level itself comes together. We have this big old like kind of like game world document. Like we know a lot about the world that is never going to be revealed in the actual game. It's just the game is kind of the tip of the iceberg. So whenever we create one of these levels, we could tap into that and build it out into its own cohesive thing. So you're learning more about the world and about the characters through these levels. But we find that the levels are best if we just like don't overly constrain them with the story, but then we have certain key story moments as well.
So it's like improv development.
Yeah, we generally, it's like reactive development. Yeah, we're always reacting to what's actually made and what's on the floor instead of trying to like go with what our best first guess was.
Greg, speaking of the writing, Bastion tie-in novel. What do you think?
Yes. Yes.
Is there the meat? Is it the fiction? Do you think you could pull it off?
First-person narrator. Yeah, I mean, so the world of the game is certainly deep enough to support other formats. I think if such opportunities should arise. But I mean, it's like my parents used to always like try to push me to like write a book, but I would rather be writing.
Sure.
In this, it's like I'd rather take the time to like do more game stuff. It's so much more rewarding, like the interactivity around it and like getting those reactive lines, like the way people just kind of light up when they hear the narrator respond to something they did. Like I couldn't really pull that off in a book.
Well, it's certainly a different style of writing.
And plus, I don't have Logan's amazing voice in a book. Logan's voice.
Audiobook. Bam.
Yeah. Audiobook. There you go.
Dave, another question?
Yeah, the chat would like to know basically how, showing off these early builds that you showed to like a small group of people, like how effective is it to get negative reactions versus sort of positive reactions that are going to pump you up and keep you going? Like, what do you prefer when you're showing somebody a game?
Well, the negative reactions are what create the work you have to do to fix it. So they're in many ways more useful, but the positive reactions are important so you don't kill yourself after working for 6 months on a game and you finally show it to people and they, they're like, wow, I don't really understand what's happening here, but I think you're onto something. That level of positivity was really nice. That people didn't just like unplug the controller and were like, I don't know what this is.
I mean, you have to have both. Yeah. If people only tell you what they don't like, then you don't really have anything to go on. If people only tell you what they like, then you don't know what to change. So the mix of both is really good.
You've got to interpret it right and like figure out. Sometimes people's reactions are kind of really telling and interesting, but they can't always. You have to kind of read into some of it and try to find the patterns between how people react to it. And yeah, it's like I don't know that. It's like a lot of the changes after GDC were based on like a kind of nebulous feedback.
We just made a giant list of everything people said. Yeah. I pulled quotes directly. We looked at it all. We spent a lot of time figuring out what we would do next, and we just kept working on it until we submitted to PAX, and then that PAX submission got us into PAX 10. So thank you to everyone who played our game at GDC. Yeah. That was awesome.
You can actually see like an example of how like the negative feedback we got from some people like actually made it into this screen, for instance, where I had a gut feeling that maybe, there's too much saturation, there's too much craziness going on screen, and then, like, we actually got the same reaction from a couple people who were willing to voice that, which is, like, super helpful to us, and we ended up going through and, like, blurring the background so that it separated foreground and background elements better, so that when you're playing through the game, it's not so distracting and you can focus on gameplay.
So it's almost like just confirming the suspicions that you already had. Like, I'm not sure about this. Oh, they said they didn't like it. Definitely.
Yeah, basically. It's it's just yeah, it's really helpful to have fresh sets of eyes looking at your work.
You missed the intermediate step where we fight about it for a while.
Right.
That's
Right.
basically like what
There is
the
that.
process is.
That is heavily implied. One more question from Dave, please.
We've got a couple nerds in the chat that are programmers themselves, so they've got kind of two questions. They've been following the blog. They saw you guys got a new technical hire, and they also just want to generally know about what you guys use to actually build your internal tools. Because I know you guys have your own tools, but what's your programming language? What are you guys using, sort of day to day?
So our hire is a friend that Greg and I actually were roommates with when we worked at ELA. It's a dude named Andrew Wang who worked at Infinity Ward until the beginning of this year. And so
which you guys announced on Twitter at like 1 in the morning last night.
Yeah, we were just so excited. Yeah,
I was wondering. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Like 1 in the morning. Like
that's why.
Now's the time.
Yeah. So Andrew's joining us to like double our programming bandwidth, so we can actually get this game onto multiple platforms and stuff like that.
But the tools are written from scratch in C#, and so they're just we can bring in all the Windows widgets and have a visual editor, and they can just drag everything around and use the sliders, and allows us to prototype really quickly. So.
The tools are awesome.
Yeah, Gavin's tools are really good.
Oh, there's one very stupid question here that I just need to ask.
All right, it's going to be our last one, so there'd be like really good or really stupid.
Or really stupid. It's basically based on your guys' CNC involvement and looking at Bastion. Is there any Ric Flair influence on the character design?
Thank you guys for coming by. We will see you again in a month. Game's looking awesome. Once again, Super Giant Games and Bastion. You guys are projecting for
summer
2011. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We will see you real soon. And we're going to take a quick break and then come back with your regularly scheduled Whiskey Media Happy Hour. A freebie! Hey folks, it's Friday. We're going to have the Whiskey Media Happy Hour for you in just a little bit. In fact, it's going to be a free Friday. But before we get to that, the Super Giants are here. So let's go ahead and roll into part 4 of Building the Bastion, and we'll talk to you guys in just a second. So here it is, part 4, Building the Bastion.
You may be wondering, Greg, what are you doing in your car at 11:15 p.m. on a Sunday night? The answer is I'm about to drive 90 minutes to San Jose because my internet has gone down repeatedly today because of Murphy's Law, because today is our deadline for localization to get all the text and writing in the game done, so I'm about to drive down to the old house in order to get it done. It's what I get for saving important stuff to the last minute, but it's not like I was sitting on my hands. We've been pretty busy.
Our innovation is we made the Pokey Fart.
You know, as long as I make it to San Jose tonight, it should be all right.
Andrew, what are we doing? What are we doing? So we are attempting to do achievements on the Xbox, so are we going to unlock our first achievement today?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All good.
You may witness the first Bastion achievement being unlocked, potentially, unless it doesn't work. Oh shit! Oh shit!
The very first achievement ever unlocked in Bastion. We witnessed it here. All thanks to Andrew. Thanks, Andrew.
No problem. Thanks, Andrew.
Is that the monolith from 2001: A Space Odyssey?
I think it's just a shard of it.
Okay, a shard.
I should establish that before. I was using a hand-me-down tablet.
Okay.
It's had like connectivity issues.
I see.
We've been taping it, and then like the tablet button was falling off, so I like used a rubber band to like keep it on, but it kept pushing by itself. There was like a twisty tie around it at one point, but the Intuos 4, it's only special because
Powerful Protoss unit.
yes. I actually don't like the Intuos 4. I'm gonna say it.
What's wrong with it?
It just has like a weird texture on the surface that makes it like, I think it's trying to mimic paper more. Ooh, a shiny.
Cool.
It is really cool.
That is pretty cool.
I have to say, the Intuos 4 is really sleek. I like the holder for the pen. That
Small. So
As you can
there's
see.
a known design flaw with the holder, so that will be used to make the art.
The art of Bastion.
Yeah, what are we looking at?
We're looking at the redesigned HUD. So
yes, we have been working the end.
Reloading. Fragments look the same as I always did.
Yep.
That. I haven't changed any of the fading stuff. Health bar.
Cool. A little curl in the corner.
What does it say?
I don't know.
Greg,
what does it say?
What does it say?
Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't want to give it away then.
All right.
One of you technical people, you can explain why we're optimizing rain. Can't you? No?
Andrew, if you're making us optimize rain, explain.
Basically, it makes the game run at, or it used to make the game run at 18 frames a second on the 360. I hate that.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Optimizing the rain so it doesn't.
Yeah, because we had something like thousands of individual drops of rain rendering, and now
all the textures.
These are individual things that say missing texture flying across the screen.
That's really tasteful, actually. It's pretty good.
Very dignified.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good clouds.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, our work here is done.
Yep.
The rain is
optimized. It is Friday the 25th, and we are running down our list of everything we think we need to be alpha. Amir is now running down the list to see how we're doing. We're at the end of a 2-week sprint, right?
Yeah.
Well, 2 weeks or however you want to measure.
Yeah, it's been a lot. Work every day.
Yeah.
So what do we have here?
Well, we are. I'm trying to implement one of our later enemies, but we don't have models for them yet. So I have creatively taken some of the players' own animations and colored them differently.
So there you go. Co-op multiplayer.
We have the technology.
Bastion confirmed. We are going to buy the rights with the immense profits from Bastion to the Terminator franchise and make a Terminator Tactics strategy game. RPG.
Yes.
SRPG.
SRPG.
Sorry.
So that's what's next for Supergiant.
Castlevania versus Terminator.
Now,
like this Skynet castle.
Yeah.
And it would be filled with Terminator analogs of all the Castlevania enemies.
Would,
it would look badass, and you'd have the Belmont from the future, or even from the past.
Gavin's talking about work.
This is the best thing happening right now for Black and 40. Andrew's Call of Duty pajamas.
Oh.
Available only from the Activision store.
We don't even have pajamas. What are we looking at?
We're looking at Gavin's last alpha task, which is to create breath condensation.
That's not true. Yes,
Oh, dude. Walk dust? Hey, that's pretty.
I think that's good. Go over to the side where there's colors. Did you think he reads fast or slow?
I thought at first that he was reading kind of slow, but is it random?
No. Well, yeah, but then.
You read really fast.
Yes.
You're always looking better.
It could increase the lower his health is.
Wow.
Dude, that is really cool, I think, actually.
Alright, done.
This game.
Yes, what's your shader next?
We are basically 1 day or so away from being content complete, meaning the game is totally playable from start to finish. All the content is in, and basically all that will remain at that point is just a bunch of polish and tuning, and we have a good amount of time for that. We've pushed really hard to get to this point relatively early so that we just have plenty of time for polish and all that. And for my part, the thing that is a really big weight lifted off of my shoulders is that all the writing for the game is finally done, the ending and all of that. And I'm just super excited about how the ending of the game is going to pan out. I'm a sucker for game endings that kind of suitably reward the player's investment up to that point. So it's very important to me to like pay the game off appropriately, and I think our ending is going to do that. Some of the implementation stuff, of course, remains to be seen, but what we have so far I think is pretty cool. But I had best get to sleep because tomorrow's another big day, so take care. Today is the first day of PAX East, so that's going to be interesting.
Hey, we actually say our name on it. Let's go. What?
Here we are. We're going into the convention center. It's 8 o'clock, so it's like 2 hours till showtime. And
there we are. Our booth is the first time I've seen it.
Yeah.
Everything looks great about the poster. It's all super high res except the Bastion logo.
I will just say, something like this in a booth like this, not so bad for a bunch of dudes in the living room. Feels really good to be able to do something like this.
I think the show is starting. Can't wait to play Bastion. Today is a really big day for us because we are announcing that we are releasing Bastion in partnership with Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. Yeah, it took a while to get to, as Amir can attest, but for now I'd better get going. Amir, can you explain what the hell is going on here right now?
Yep, so basically I am about to perform a Diablo 2 rap song that Darren and I made. The only thing I've ever wanted more than Bastion's success is to perform the Diablo 2 song at PAX in some capacity.
Oh, wow.
And Chris Robbins, Scott Kurtz of the Slate Show, and they were kind enough to ask us on.
So yes, it should be interesting.
Should identify that, then I split it in the stash. Got a trade, got a blonde toe pants, gonna put it in the stash.
Got too much cash and I got that greed, so I gamble with Geed, never get what I need. Just a shield of ease, or some plus life greaves, or a monosteel fleece, or a druid's god piece, or a cracked bardiche, or a metal headpiece. Never blade of the whale, just a half-broken flail, and a full broken heart for the money that I lost. And my stash always full from the treasures that I pull. I love thank a king man, cause the world gon' end. He gon' do his part, and he do it no charge. If you a druid, then you got to steal that life. A barbarian, then I got to hear a war cry.
It's Sunday, 7:10. PAX is over. It was exhausting and awesome. Pretty much as hoped. Yeah, we're just helping tear down. Reminds me of the good old days at GameSpot, actually. After a bunch of work during the convention, we then get to do the kind of manual labor of tearing everything down, though we have help, thankfully. Check it out.
Where my lord of pain at, didn't know he called that. Gotta load in slow, gotta hit him with a bow. In the maggot lair, can't walk nowhere. It's a single file line, gotta take our time. Wanna get to bail, gonna make that flail. Where the lord of hate at, he a poison.
So yeah, thanks a lot to everyone who played the game. We've never shown the game to this many people before, and got a lot of amazing feedback, so far so good.
Then I got to hear a war cry. And Amazon, then you got to pump that dex. And assassin, then you got to lay those traps. If you a necro, then you got to raise skellies. A sorceress, gotta see you teleport and freeze. If you a pally, then you got to raise that D. But no matter who you are, you got to bind those keys. Bind those keys, 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 bind those keys.
Rest in peace, y'all.
And there you go, part 4 of Building the Bastion. Greg, Amir, Gavin, and Jen. How y'all doing?
Good.
Yeah, hanging in there.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen you guys in a couple of months because you were, it seems like, in a crunch, sprint, scrum sort of
all
state.
that stuff. Yeah.
Whatever else. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to pull whatever other game development.
How many? What other euphemisms are?
Can I lump it here at once? Frames per second. For some reason, that was the only other one that was coming. So you guys have been busy as hell working on the game. As we can see, this video that we just showed kind of represents a couple of months of good times for you guys. A few questions specifically for Jen about the tablet. So if that tablet sucks, what is the ideal tablet?
The ideal tablet is the Intuos 3.
Oh,
wow.
So it's
a number less than the 4.
I know, but that happens a lot, like such as Final Fantasies.
Oh, damn.
Oh, really?
We're going there.
So which one?
saying.
Where's
I think Final Fantasy 9 is probably the peak.
What?
Controversial opinion.
That is a very controversial
I know everyone's
opinion.
like 6 or 7. I love 7, but like 9 really did not get the attention it deserved.
I also have to say during the rain optimization, I actually really enjoyed. I actually thought the look of the little texture missing globes was kind of cool.
I liked it too.
Like I didn't actually realize that it said texture missing at first until you really like zoomed in. I was like, oh, I thought it was just like kind of more ethereal plane stuff.
No, we have some ethereal-y looking stuff, so it's. The missing texture may make a cameo appearance if we screw up some of these bugs that were
DLC.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys are feature complete at this point.
Yeah.
You have an entire game, so now it's crush bugs.
Yeah.
Crush bugs,
fine
tune, change things.
A few more things here about that video that I have questions about for you guys. Amir.
Yes.
For the folks at home, can you maybe give a little bit of a timeline about the Diablo 2 rap? Like, I had not heard about. I just knew like at the show.
Yeah.
The buzz was palpable.
Oh yeah.
That the Diablo 2 rap was going to be performed live.
So basically, Darren and I made a Diablo 2 rap in his garage a couple years ago, and then we got all of our friends to perform fake instruments in a video, which then got some amount of views on YouTube. And so Scott Kurtz and Chris Straub, who are people associated with Penny Arcade who do their own webcomics, basically asked us to perform it there, and we went up there, and it was like my dream to perform that song at PAX. From like the minute after I wrote it, I was like, someday I want to perform the song at PAX. Be like a like an amateur MC front a lot kind of thing, and then it turned out that I actually got to do that, and it was as amazing as I thought it would be.
I recognize that as being one of the panel halls. What was that during specifically?
So basically, they have this like late show where Chris and Scott just drink until 2 a.m. and we just performed during it. And
we were told we weren't allowed to drink.
If you're a
still
special,
but we were told we weren't allowed to.
No, they made us drink alcoholic whipped cream and stuff like that during the show.
Oh, yes, White Lightning.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
it tasted like Listerine.
It was really bad?
Yeah, it was really gross.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. I haven't actually had it myself. And so the thing I'm going to take you guys to task for here, so the way these things have been getting shot is we give you guys a camera, and Greg, it seems like you are primarily running around shooting stuff on it. You guys have a publisher. You guys signed a deal with WB Games, which merits a half a logo and a very low-key mention in the video that we got from you guys. This seems like a really big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, so it's awesome. So basically, we had a lot of publisher interest after PAX, and the guys at WB were like super excited about the game and about doing something in the downloadable space. So they just sort of put a lot of support behind it and made like a big pitch to get involved and sort of getting us to places like PAX so we can get the game in a lot of people's hands and at E3 and hopefully future places too.
So you guys had been talking to a lot of different publishers.
Ever since PAX Prime.
Yeah, and the reason you need to is if you want to get on a platform like Xbox Live Arcade
it's all about slots.
Or the PlayStation Network, you need to have a publisher to get on. You can't fully self-publish. Even if you go first-party Microsoft, there's a publisher involved, which is Microsoft.
I learned about, I think during DICE, I first learned about the whole concept of slots, and everyone's trying to get
a good slot.
You got to get someone's slot. You got to get it with a publisher who's got a slot for Xbox Live. It's this whole weird system of kind of. It almost reminds me of the NES, where it's like a publisher can only put out 8 games a year or whatever that arbitrary.
Yeah,
number
there's
was.
always some voodoo involved there. We're not even sure how they allocate, but the guys at WB got us that booth, got us thousands of scarves that we gave out and stuff like that. We're still a bunch of dudes in a house making a game. It's not like money changed hands or anything, but it's
But you have a deal. They're going to publish a game. So what? I mean, was it just their aggressiveness, or what was it that kind of made you go with them versus any of the other opportunities?
They were easily the most excited about the game.
Yeah.
They loved the game the most.
Yeah,
and
from the start.
Yeah, I mean they came up to our house and stuff, and
Nice.
all that kind of stuff. They were a bunch of WB people crammed into our living room and all that kind of stuff. It was a very cool people out there who basically really were excited about it. Really like the game.
And they have a lot of respect for the way we do it. Also, it's it was really important. It's like we left our jobs at these big publishers not to start doing things, for someone else again. So it's like the fact that they like the way we do things. Let us have our space.
And they're letting you guys keep it seems like the control that you have.
Yeah, no, we have all the same sort of creative control. It's our game and our IP,
yeah.
and they're helping to distribute and publish it. So yeah,
That's awesome.
Yep.
And now you're co-workers with Ed Boon, creator of Mortal Kombat.
Hey, fine by me. It was awesome. The game looks great.
Well, you think they work with the Fifth Cell guys on the Scribblenauts game, so clearly they have some sort of sensibilities about that stuff.
That was brought up a lot during those conversations. Is how they work with Fifth Cell.
All right, let's. You guys, as usual, have brought a pair of builds of Bastion here. Let's go ahead and cut the gameplay here and give me a little context, Greg, on what we're looking at.
So this is an old build of Bastion, not a current build of Bastion.
From over a year ago at this point.
Yeah. So this is what the game looked like a year ago at March at the Game Developers Conference. This is what we showed that people said you should probably not show this game yet to publishers. So that was the #1 piece of advice we got. You can see it's kind of crazy, surreal.
Yeah, we're still exploring the world design and stuff like that at this point. We found the narration technique. You'll hear the narrator going off, but I need to kill this guy up here. Oh God, how do I get up there? Just shoot. Because they're off screen because of the
So this is before Jen's art. This is again when we were experimenting with styles, and one of the pieces of feedback we got is that this is surreal. It makes no sense.
Yep.
Jen, thoughts? Into the mic. I want raw honesty.
It was very interesting looking, and definitely surreal is the word I would use to describe it. I was told a little more about the background and the story they wanted to deliver. Separately before I had seen this part of the game, actually. I don't know if we're gonna show the earlier stages because I don't know if I played this level yet. At that point.
This is.
So this is all still. We thought the game would be this kind of crazy, messed up, surreal world, and would look like this. You can see some of the mechanics are there, like the hammer and the bow are there, and things like that. We thought you'd fight these insect things and all that, but some of these enemies actually made it into the final game with a different look.
Forms,
Everything was a smooth transition.
But it's interesting though, still, as different as this art style is, that there are elements that have kind of persisted here.
Yeah, we replaced enemies one by one.
And then I also have to say this gigantic interface that you have here.
Yeah, we were afraid that people might miss something.
So let's go ahead and swap over here to the more recent build. How recent are we talking here?
So this is
like today.
Right? Should we kill today's build?
You kill the other one? Yeah, cool.
Yeah. This is a modern day build of Bastion. So switch off.
It was also very exciting. I have to say I appreciated the achievement moment. I have to imagine the first time you get your own achievement.
Yeah, it felt really amazing actually.
Yeah.
I don't know, something about it. Small things like that. Big.
You mic 'em?
Small things like that are like big milestones. So here we are in the current build.
This is actually our new. We can fly through this real fast, not show it too much, but it's our new title screen and everything.
So we sort of set up a save game here that will not crash.
Yeah.
I hope, and it is. So we
can build a shrine of our own.
Awesome.
So I got some alternatives in mind.
So here we are. We've just returned from a level, and we're in our Bastion. So you can see we built some structures. So we kind of wanted to show some of the RPG stuff we've alluded to in previous episodes. Yeah. So every time you go out into a level, you try and look for these things called cores. You can deposit them, and they help make your Bastion stronger.
They remember. That's why this place is coming together. That's why things are going to be all right.
And every core you deposit allows you to sort of build a new structure in town. So gonna go and build a shrine here.
Which we've talked about in past episodes. Yeah, so we figured we would show it kind of fully completed.
That's right, show don't tell.
Yeah, so...
Behold the Pantheon.
So you want to explain the fiction behind the shrine?
Yeah, basically, so the shrine, from a gameplay standpoint, is our way of letting players adjust difficulty to their own liking.
Right.
As far as the fiction goes, it's a shrine to this to the pantheon of gods that sort of presides over this world. Though our narrator is sort of this.
The gods never liked competing for people's affections.
Yeah, our narrator has sort of an opinion about the gods that you can sort of get as he goes, and each one of them conveys a different effect on the game. So it's not just making the game harder and harder. So
yeah, we'll show some of the other structures here.
The Bastion's a place of peace.
The Arsenal,
we can hold
where
our
we
own if we
will
have to.
accidentally have spoilers, and then keep moving through. This is the distillery. When you level up, you unlock these different sort of slots that you can use to equip your character with different abilities, like to give yourself extra chances if you're defeated, to give yourself more special weapon ammo, to move differently with a shield. We're going to try some Dread Rum today. Greg, what does Dread Rum do?
Dread Rum gives you a chance to score a critical...
Squirt cider will toughen you right up. Too bad about the musty aftertaste.
Yeah. So, yeah, the different...
things need fixing up in this world, and we can start right here.
Well, we're onto the forge now.
Yeah.
In any case, the distillery, lets you change your character by drinking these different spirits.
This is the forge where you can upgrade your weapons. So we're gonna go ahead and add draw
With a good
speed
length
to our
of
longbow,
Miscut,
which is not
that
even
bow's
equipped.
like new again.
So going into a level is going to be difficult.
Well, I'm not sure how much time we're going to have for that right now.
Yeah,
there's one more thing you want to show off here, Amir.
Sure. Well, that's just sort of the tour of the RPG systems. As you can see, there's like more structures you're going to be able to build in town, and maybe even improve beyond that. And so there's a lot of sort of stuff going every time you go back to town after you pull sort of supplies and stuff from the levels.
Let you find your own playstyle and stuff like that.
Well, very cool to see all this stuff now finally in the game and together. Well, there you go, Bastion. Another look at it from Supergiant Games. Thank you guys so much for coming.
No, of course.
Congratulations on the publisher deal. It was good seeing you guys at PAX East. It seems like you had a really good response there.
Yeah.
Before we go, one final question about the scarves that you were giving out at PAX East. We saw during the Building the Bastion video that there's some language on there. You would not give up the ghost as to the meaning of it, but can you at least say that if people play the game, they will be able to figure this out?
I can't say we don't have it all deciphered in the game. We can say what it means. It says.
Save it.
Yeah,
Cliffhanger.
Go to my
cliffhanger. No
go to my
time.
grave.
We're gonna take a quick break, but we're gonna be right back with the Whiskey Media Happy Hour. We have special guests. WonderCon's going on. It's craziness. Hang in there, and we're gonna have a great show. So see you in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the last Friday of the month, which means that it's time for a very special, very free edition of the Whiskey Media Happy Hour, which, of course, we're going to preempt with a little check-in with our friends from Supergiant Games and a look at Bastion. We have everyone in the house again, but I'm not going to let them talk until after we take a look at the latest edition of Building the Bastion. Let's check it out.
This is our priority 1 database for VMC, Start Test Company, who helps make sure we're ready to be certified.
See the kinds of things we've been doing the last 2 weeks, like the ESRB logo needs to be 50% of the screen.
Oh my god.
If you switch controller devices, pull out memory cards while it's saving, or try and access the leaderboards when you disconnect your cord. Wow. All stuff consumers do on a regular basis, I'm sure.
It's 1:48 in the morning, and we're trying to resolve. It's a real issue technically, but it's what's called a TCR, which is a technical certification requirement for Xbox 360 games. It's a list of like the Constitution or something, right? It's just like all the laws you have to abide in order to be an Xbox.
But why are we mad? There's a fucking TCR which says you have to employ methods to engage the player. Like what?
Methods to engage the player.
We need like basically the fact that our game starts with like mystery is not sufficient, and we have to like put some text or like character animations or tutorial videos in our initial like.
So how must we engage the player, according to TCR?
So the official TCR says methods to engage the player may consist of tutorial videos, character animations, level or map descriptions, rotating hints and tips, scrolling text, and other activities that are pertinent to gameplay. Progress indicators are not a sufficient method to meet this requirement.
So the only problem with that is you have not yet started to play the game. So anything we would tell you would not be relevant to you.
The intent is noble, though. The Xbox 360 experience is designed around the principle: insert the game and play. Lengthy load times and non-interactive experiences detract from this central philosophy.
Is that what it says?
What it says.
That I would like to live in a world. What I've just done is hook up 125 different load screen messages into the game. I hate that moment in games when you start to see the load screen start to repeat. That's like that moment you get when like, oh, I've seen all the content. So hopefully in this game that moment will not come on a reasonable playthrough, or if it does come, it'll be a number of hours into the game, like whatever, 7 or 8 hours in or something. By then hopefully it's okay. But yeah, load screens.
I'm looking up the boot sequence, and it's not done yet.
Okay.
Here we go, ESRB logo.
Soon to not be rating pending.
WB Games.
Good so far.
Painterly logo by Jen. This may be temporary. And then load screen hint in the background.
Logo, and then the save spinner, and then the load bar.
So
it's probably really not as funny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
As we feel like it is at 11:30 right now.
Yeah.
This is what optimization looks like. It's a lot of sitting in silence, looking at graphs. This is for all 2 of you who have no 360 hard drive, but run all your games off a USB stick. You'll be pleased to know Bastion may run that way as well. It's Friday night. Empty office at the moment, because everyone finished their stuff except for me. But I just finally finished and made what I'm hoping is my last check-in on Bastion. Just had this page full of notes here and did everything I could. And now we're going to pull USB cables, plug in Guitar Hero controllers, find other obscure bugs until we're ready to ship this game.
How does it feel to be a day after a content lock, Mirror?
Feels pretty good, just playing it all.
Playing the game.
Making sure we didn't break anything. Fun time between
4 a.m. and...
Yeah, and 5 a.m.
Yes.
Oh shit!
So starting again, Bastion.
Alright, here it goes.
I think the proper story is supposed to start at the beginning.
Is that what you heard? I heard similar things.
Proper story is supposed to start at the beginning.
Guess you're right.
Ain't so simple with this one.
Features that...
Now here's a kid whose whole world got twisted, leaving him stranded on a rock in the sky.
This awesome
He gets up,
memory and frame
sets
rate
off for the Bastion,
locked at 60.
where everyone agreed to go in case of trouble.
Call of Duty.
Ground forms up under his feet as it
So Jen found this crash in the game when you scroll, but it's super rare. So we have the controller sitting on a coaster and things scrolling really fast on the screen. And hopefully in an hour or so it'll crash so we can actually fix it. I got our ESRB rating.
At long last.
Yeah, at long last we have it. So we got an E10 plus.
E10 plus?
E10 plus. So the descriptors we got were they were yeah. So the first thing is we got animated blood, which Mike at WB flipped out about, but then he was like, "That's bullshit. There's no blood in the game." We got animated blood for 4 things. We got it for the feathers, for the hit flashes, feathers,
Okay, with flash, yeah, okay.
And
no, like red flash, yeah.
And then we got it for the hit effects on the kid. What they were saying is there was probably someone who was wishing for blood, and we're pretty lucky we got animated blood. so we ended up good.
I actually didn't even realize.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there was that distinction.
Yeah.
Between blood and animated blood.
Yeah, animated blood is just like anything that is
stylized
liquid in your game that comes out of something as a result of a hit. So the other descriptors we got were fantasy violence, which is a good descriptor, and we didn't get comic mischief. There's no mischief in our game. We got alcohol and tobacco reference or use, which I think is like the funniest E10 plus like descriptor you could possibly. We got the E10 plus version of tobacco and alcohol use.
Yeah, no, but it's funny. I mean, I think it's like very accurate.
Yeah. So.
But it does sound paradoxical. But
yep. So.
That's kind of how the game is.
Yep. So those are our descriptors.
Yeah, that's kind of why I thought it was going to be me.
Yep. We're waiting on Peggy, and we're waiting on the GRB in Korea. But we have Japan and we have Germany.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, later.
Yes, I was wrong.
You were wrong. You were wrong. Greg was wrong. All right, talk to you later. I'll talk to you later. Bye. 2 hours later. Still scrolling. Not crashing. Can only mean one thing. Jan is a liar. Alright, so this is the last step before we send everything to Warner Brothers, which is we are testing our trial game download, making sure it works properly, so people who download the trial actually are able to play Bastion. And this is the last thing we're going to do, we think. If it all works, we'll send it to Warner Brothers, who will send it to Microsoft.
He's got to find the cores out there and bring them back. With enough of them, the Bastion can fix everything.
That's like our special thing that happens when you play the trial.
Much obliged for all your time.
And we sell you with all these bullet points. I will be someone who is sold, so I'll unlock the full game. Okay. And then if he welcomes me back, then everything worked. Okay, good. Got the achievement.
Well, look who's back.
Sweet! Game is ready! So, we are about to send the build to Warner Brothers so they can put it in the queue for certification in Microsoft. It's May 9th. This was our targeted date. It's 4:30 p.m. We hit the date after working on Bastion for over 20 months in a house in San Jose. We are about to be done with it. So, we go click send package, allow the transfer, and then using our residential DSL, we will now submit Bastion to a multimedia conglomerate, which is Warner Brothers, who's our publishing partner, and hope that they can send it off and have it be on its way. It's a nice day. It's about 15 minutes after we submitted Bastion. I'm sitting in the backyard, aka the conference room, where I take all important calls with publishers and whoever. And I have no idea what I should be doing right now that the game is done, or how I should be spending my time. Because we've just been working on this game for 20 months, which is a long time to be in a house just working. Yeah. What do I do? What do people do? I should find out what people do, and I should do what people do.
Alright. Recording. What is the date? This is May 11. 11 doesn't tell you anything. It's May 11th. What are we doing?
So when you work in the same house as someone else for a year, you learn all their secret sort of hopes and dreams, what they really love in life.
today's Jen's birthday, and what Jen loves almost more than anything in life is breakfast. She loves breakfast. She loves candy. She loves sweet things. So we're going to go to her place, pick her up. We're going to blindfold her, and we're going to take her to this place that I have refused to go to for over 2 years, called Scrambles, because it is the most
with a Z, right?
With a Z. It's got the most heinous name of any place ever. It's Scramble 'Z, because she's been dying to go there. So now, get her wish.
All right. Well, what could go wrong?
Gosh, I'm so blind.
Can't see anything. Look this way.
Yes! Finally!
Awesome stuff. There you have it, the latest episode of Building the Bastion. How were the scrambles?
They were incredibles. Super incredibles. Like, we could hardly finish. I want to go back.
I will say that's what's most infuriating about that is the no E apostrophe Z.
Yeah, no, it killed me. We didn't go for 20 months because of that.
Well, happy birthday, Jen.
Thank you.
I hope that was a suitable gift from
It totally was.
from the team.
It was excellent.
So you guys have brought what is going to be basically your E3 build of the game for 360. You want to start? You want to jump into this, Greg? And
Yeah, sure.
I'll throw questions at you guys because that was the first time that I've seen that particular Building the Bastion. So I definitely have my fair share of questions. But let's see the game, and please take your time.
Yeah, we'll do. Basically, it's funny because we finished the game and then we had to prepare something for E3, but we're like, we don't want to just let people play indefinitely, play forever, so we had to cut stuff out of it to get ready for the show. So we decided to show the prologue, which we've shown in the past, so people could just play, the first 20 or so minutes of the game. But we also wanted to show something from later on, just to give a sense of where the game is going.
So obviously, certification was a big part of the focus in this episode, and what I get from this is that certification is for crazy people.
Yeah.
The things that they are looking for. So is Bastion playable with a Guitar Hero controller?
No, well, now at least you can't enter the game but not be able to progress when a Guitar Hero controller is
So if you plug it in, it's just no.
Yeah, it's good.
Flat out nothing.
Yeah. So that stuff is good. Someone must do that somewhere, and it ensures a quality experience. But it's a lot of stuff that you would never do as a developer to your own game.
So with the bug that Jen supposedly found, did that ever end up?
That got fixed, actually. We found it later. We didn't film the finding of it because it was by Andrew and Gavin at some obscure hour of the night.
I'm the ultimate QA.
Yeah, Jen breaks the game.
No,
I break the game easily.
You have to be able to reproduce the bug to be considered the ultimate QA.
Right.
That's actually very poor QA, but we'll let you slide because your art's pretty good.
Well, let's get to the gameplay then.
Oh, sure. This is
you're a little deeper into the game, and
we wanted to. So this doesn't spoil too much, but we wanted to show kind of where some of the game goes beyond the stuff that we've shown early on. As you can see, this is kind of a far away from the kind of ruined city type of environment.
Or fanciful.
Yes. We call this the Wild Unknown. And these are some of our new kind of weapons, and actually we may have shown this on the show before. It's our war machete. It's like a much faster weapon than the hammer. Then we've got something called the scrap musket, which is basically a shotgun. It's pretty fun to use. I wanted to show this will give people a taste at E3. They'll be able to get their hands on this and see where the game goes, kind of when it gets tougher and more challenging, more open-ended in terms of the combat. Is play with some of the upgrades and whatnot. The character, these are some of the spirits that we've talked about. The spirits before, that the character upgrade system, where we've got this one Ware Whiskey that gives you a 100% chance to score critical hits when you're low on health and stuff like that.
Nice.
And Lifeline that saves you if you otherwise would have died. So.
I have to say, you guys are damn lucky for getting an E10 plus. I think Warner Brothers worked some hoodoo on your behalf.
There's nothing that implies they're alcoholic.
It says bourbon in the name.
So the reasoning is stuff like Harry Potter has butterbeer and stuff like that.
Okay.
That's an E10 plus. So
Real life has root beer.
So J.K. Rowling saved your bacon.
Yeah, exactly.
So Warner Brothers has experience, obviously, with the Harry Potter license.
So I got the sense you guys were kind of anticipating a T.
We were.
I was personally, yeah. I think we knew we were going to be on the edge of it, and then actually I started to change my mind because I saw like Portal 2 came out with an A10 plus.
They were similarly surprised.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah, talking to the Valve guys.
Yeah, sure, if you like. Hand over the controller to Gavin.
Yeah, I think the other thing that made us think we were going to get T was that every single other territory gave us a 12 plus, which is essentially the T rating in here. So yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, the American youth can tolerate.
Even the Russians learned to fear this place.
2 years earlier.
So Jen, you repeated a little line of dialogue, the first line of dialogue. All of you guys have seen all of this game a lot. Is there any particular line that kind of earworms into your head, or is it just that opener?
I think it's mostly the opener.
Hopefully, it's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I mean.
I think our narrator's pretty.
Yeah, our narrator's pretty catchy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's good. I'm just saying more of the you guys have already been exposed to this game more than any normal human ought.
I think the entire introduction has that effect on us.
Yeah.
At this point, we played it so many times.
The thing is, since he doesn't repeat, it's like a lot of things that get really catchy in games. Like I go through life like quoting fighting game characters, but that's just because I've heard them over and over and over, like saying their catchphrases and stuff.
Well, there's also there's what are you buying, what are you selling. There's
but again,
stuff
you
like
hear them
that.
over and over, so it drills into your head that way.
Yeah. So part of that process, Greg, you were talking about creating unique load screens in the game. You said 125.
Something like that
was the number that you were saying you were loading up there. Sure. How many loads? If you were just to play through this game one play. How many loads would there be?
So part of the trick is that it really depends because we have a bunch of optional content that you could go into over and over. So if you keep going into that stuff, you'll see more of those screens. Or like if you play the game in short increments or something, play like one area at a time, turn it off, come back. You'll go through that kind of initial load again. So we need to account for people both who kind of marathon through and who play much more piecemeal.
Amir, you had mentioned different regions. I actually got a question via email from someone in Germany wanting to make sure that they would still get the excellent English narration in the game.
They will. Yes. There's no foreign language VO because for all that stuff, we couldn't really control the quality of the guy in the booth as a small team, and we know that Logan's performance and his voice is such a huge part of it, and what makes it good that they'll have subtitles in those other regions to sort of play the game and see what he's saying.
You can actually turn on the subtitles here. They're all linked. They're like precisely timed to what he's saying and stuff like that. I know like the timing of subtitles is important to some people. Not only what Amir said, the other thing is like all of the timings in this game are all like hand tuned.
Yeah.
Down to fractions of a second. So if we had a different voice actor, it's like it would mean. It's not an impossible task, but we would have to independently go through thousands of lines and
it would not be insignificant to try and localize in that level.
Yeah. I figured watching a foreign film in the native language is a pretty classy experience, so we'll let those.
So you guys also gonna throw in a black and white option?
Film grain option, horror
next
game
gen
option.
filter. Desaturate all the colors.
We also have Corey manning the chat. Are there any questions from there for the team about Bastion?
Jillaboo wants to know if you had any specific influences for the narrator, like sort of his tone and his content.
Yeah. There are a number of them. Where it kind of started was we were interested in the author Cormac McCarthy, who has written novels like Blood Meridian and No Country for Old Men and.
The Road.
And The Road, which we had just read. Where his novels are kind of about like evil and like pretty horrible things happen. So we don't have a lot of that. But as far as the tone, like striking this kind of old West gritty feel, he was in there a bit. And then there's some kind of specific characters from pop culture that we looked at as well. But
you should hand the controller off while you talk. Because you're standing in place.
Well, I don't want to show too much more of this, actually.
Oh, okay, you're trying to end it quickly.
He's milking it.
Yeah.
He's a pro. He's done demos.
So the other thing that happens is before every performance, Darren and Logan warm up with doing 3 different voices.
Yeah.
So they do Alice Swearingen from Deadwood. They do Butcher Bill from Gangs of New York.
We're giving away our greatest secret.
Yeah. No, they want people to know. They've said it before. And then who's the third one? Sam Elliott?
Yeah, I think so.
This is the Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
And then the voices.
If you could smoosh all those guys into one voice, that's. I think Logan came damn close. That's a good source of inspiration. And the Cormac McCarthy, as far as like not necessarily the voice work or the character of the narrator, but the overall tone of bringing that Wild West desolate feel to other contexts. I definitely see the influence there.
Yeah.
Corey, can we get a few more questions out of the chat, please?
Hooded wants to know if there's going to be a New Game Plus, and if so, what carries over?
Yes, there will be a New Game Plus. We kind of alluded to that previously, and we can confirm it at this point. That's like one of the things we're mentioning at E3. What will be carried over? We don't want to reveal all the specifics, but for the most part, it's your weapons and upgrades. So it's kind of like all your stuff is still unlocked, and considering like a lot of the game is crafted around the weapons you get at certain stages, it really changes the feel a lot to like go through with weapons that you would normally get in the late game, like this Brusher's Pike here. I don't know if we're getting the feed on that, but like when you go through the early levels with that, it's pretty cool. And plus, like you can even raise the difficulty higher. And we unlocked some new spirits and stuff like that. So there's a bunch more content.
Amir, you seemed pretty melancholy there after
I think we all were.
after shipping off the game and being content complete like that. Have you figured out what to do with yourself?
I'm still working on that.
Are we filling the hours
I'll
yet?
Take suggestions from the audience. Yeah, I think the problem is at least Gavin and I lived in that house, so when you live where you work, you never get away from it. So trying to figure out sort of how to spend your time is suddenly this like weird problem. It's like the dude from Shawshank Redemption when he gets out.
Talk about that.
I'm out now. I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, I wish someone would make me crunch again or something because I know what I'm supposed to do then. So yeah, I'm still figuring that out, I guess.
Yeah, I think there was definitely a sense of kind of weird like postpartum depression or something. It's like I've been working on this thing for a while, and it definitely becomes a big part of your life. So
clearly. A few more questions out of the chat, please.
A whole lot of people want to know what was specifically the most difficult part of making the game.
Oh man, it was. I don't know. Was there any one thing? It's like the.
So there was a bunch of stressful things. So trying to. I think one of the most difficult part was before we showed the game at PAX. Basically, when we didn't know if people would love the game or like the game or if the game would ever come out, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, it was also like a lot less stressful back then because we knew we were far away from our deadline and we were able to experiment a lot more as opposed to like the very end when we're so close, but we're also working on such a tight schedule.
Well, you're talking about the cert feedback of the player involvement, player engagement,
methods to engage the player.
What did you end up figuring out, or did you just like bounce it back to them?
We got it waived.
Yeah.
They were super understanding.
Yeah,
we were like, we just have one screen at the beginning of the game. Is it okay if we just have a load bar? And they were like, yeah, it's fine. They were totally reasonable. Which was good. Because at the time we were like, God.
The screen was only like 2 seconds over the minimum requirement for you to have that. So it was pretty.
We'll let you fudge a little bit.
Yeah, they were really nice about it. Yeah.
Excellent. Corey?
A lot of people in the chat also want to know if there are going to be other versions of the game coming out.
So we've confirmed PC. Yeah. So PC will be coming out later in the year. For sure, and the thing about us is we're a small team, so we kind of have to do everything serially. Yeah. Which is like we're starting to work on the PC, soon after this.
Sure. Well, you're talking to us right now, so no work's getting done.
Yeah, exactly.
And then shortly after this, you guys are packing it up and taking this little show down to LA for E3.
Yeah, the whole team will be together for the first time at E3, actually.
And you guys are going to be in the Warner Brothers booth there, correct?
Yeah, we'll be there.
Yep.
And then Microsoft.
Yeah.
Well, potentially, yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess they'll have a little Xbox Live area there
if they'll have us. Yeah.
So Greg, another year on the other side of the fence for you.
No, it's super fun this time. Yeah, I've never gone to with Red Alert 3, I guess people could play the beta, but like it's really cool to go there with something where once again we just hand off the controller and like we'll all be around watching people play, but other than that, it's a game that speaks for itself.
So you guys aren't like doing like the hard grind of like demos all day. It's like it's on the floor. People can play it if they want questions.
Yeah,
you can field them.
We'll still be we'll still be sort of demoing all day in the sense that we'll be answering people's questions. Yeah. But for the most part, it's just watching people play and asking them to not play this this level without playing the prologue first. It's way harder and stuff like that. Yeah. But that's all gone. We've shown that to some people so far, and it's gone over pretty well. Yeah, we're just really it's exciting to have the whole team down there and just see what people think, because many. I've gone to E3 before where it's more just kind of like hoping the game doesn't crash and all this horrible stuff. It's nice to go with like
you guys are feature complete. You have an entire a full real game. It's a real boy. Yeah, you can bring down and show to everyone.
There's still some anxiety, but for the most part, feels good.
Let's get one more question out of the chat, please, Corey.
Master Kickface wants to know, what part or feature are you most proud of?
I think that's probably got to go individually, because everyone's had such different roles here.
We actually had that conversation.
Yeah.
Among the team the other day where we talked all about that.
Well, Gavin, you broached it. What's personally?
Probably the shrine system was mine that we've talked a little bit about here and there, where it's basically self-modifying difficulty system,
right,
where you can get greater rewards for a greater challenge, and it's baked into the fiction of the game world really nicely, as well as not being introduced until a little bit later in the game, so you don't have to make a blind choice.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's hard to show just because it's hard to show how difficulty changes in the game, but it's something that
we've touched on it here definitely before. Greg, for you?
I mean, for me, it's kind of the BS answer, I guess, but it's like how the whole thing comes together. I was very interested in something that feels cohesive, where every part of the game is supported by the fiction and just feels complete, and there are no just kind of weak, underdeveloped features or anything like that. So I like the full kind of package, and the fact that there's a story to it and all that. I'm a sucker for a good story in games, and hopefully we have one, but that remains to be seen.
Jen, a less BS answer than that?
Well, I'll tell you that I hated Greg. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Greg.
It's all right.
I think probably it's a combination of my own work and also the engineers, but I'm really impressed with how we've been able to make such a large variety of worlds and levels with a relatively limited number of assets.
Right.
It's really, really cool to see all the stuff I make used in different ways to create something really different, really lush, and what I think is enjoyable. So yeah, taking on all the art in one game was a pretty daunting thing for me. So it was really cool to finally go to the finish line and be like, oh, you know what, I'm proud of this.
Awesome. And Amir?
I like the narration, audio, music stuff. I think those guys did an amazing job.
Yeah.
And they've been my friends since I was 8 years old. So watching them do their first game and then have it be really, really, really amazing, and have them be super, super excited about every part of the process, for me that was definitely one of the best parts. So, and I never get sick of it. Never get sick of the music and stuff. So
yeah,
excellent. That's definitely a feel-good moment.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we got to wrap, but again, thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us, showing us some more of your game. Now you're content locked. You're still going through CERT.
Yep.
You don't yet have a release date, but you are summer, right?
Yeah.
We're still hoping.
Well, summer we're quite. So knock on wood, but we're quite sure about summer. It's just a matter of when, and we're anxious to announce it, and hopefully it'll be announced kind of in with plenty of time for people to plan for it and whatnot as they
get
do
excited.
Around release dates.
Go sleep outside of Xbox Live.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta go line up.
Pre-order it at GameStop
for my copy of Bastion.
Yeah, but we're just can't wait for it to come out.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to get some time with you guys during E3 at the Bomb House. We'll have to have you guys come out to our ridiculous location. Thank you guys again so much.
Thank you.
We are going to take a quick break before the happy hour starts, so stay right there. We will be right back.